Welcome back to Kind of Funny Star Wars in Review. That's right, we are ranking and reviewing every single movie in the Star Wars cinematic universe. I'm Tim Gettys. This is Andy Cortez. That's Kevin Coelho. Over there, we got Nick Scarpino.
Hello.
We got 2 Star Wars themed shirts today on the show. That's fun.
We did.
Nick's in one. Kevin's in one.
3 stars.
3. Oh, Bear got one too.
Yeah, it's got one too.
There we go. Bear on the ones and twos over there.
I figure since we're sort of
There it is. Look at
back
it.
to backing the Star Wars, look at him shaking it. Shake that thing.
Nope, too far.
No, the shirt. Shake the shirt.
Yeah.
I figure since we're back to backing, I was going to wear the Kind of Funny Star Wars shirt tomorrow.
I like
when we
it.
do in review of the Jedi.
Which is pre-recording. Don't worry about that. That's coming out for you guys normal time. Tuesdays. Right here, twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, 11 a.m. We review these movies each week. Then you can get them later on youtube.com/kindoffunny, roosterteeth.com, or podcast services. Just search for Kind of Funny Reviews. Please leave us positive reviews. We'd appreciate that a lot. You can also get the show ad-free by going to patreon.com/kindoffunny, just like Al Tribesman.
I'm sorry. Danny boy.
I'm going to hide in the mud.
David Mintel.
Want some candy? Want some candy?
What?
Show me a trick.
Why?
Predator 2.
Stream me.
Remember, because the
part
kid
two,
sees
I
it,
don't
goes,
remember
want
part
some
two.
candy, and then it records it and plays it back. Want some,
Oh.
want some candy.
Gotcha.
Freaky shit.
Also,
Don't remember that
earlier
part.
when you mentioned that you're gonna watch Return of the Jedi, like
Of the
huge
Jedi?
spoilers.
I'm not going to spoil it.
Keep 'em
I
out
didn't
here.
know there was a
Keep 'em
Jedi
out
and that I had to return.
Yeah, that's true.
Today, we are doing Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, released on May 21st, 1980, the year that Nick Scarpino was born.
The year of the Lord.
It's true.
You were like 4 months older than this movie.
I am.
It's crazy.
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
That is
Yeah.
nuts.
What's funny is I swear to God I saw Jedi in the theaters, but I could be just misremembering.
You must be missing. Well, it might have been. I'm sure it was re-released at one
It was
point.
3 years later.
It's possible.
A
That was
3-year-old at
Yeah, I guess
movie
probably
theaters?
not.
it's a PG movie though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but 3
But it
is
just seems like a mistake.
You
I don't know.
you would have been.
I was a supremely
How-
advanced.
if you're
Elena
par-
Scarpino was not bringing a
How-
3-year-old
Yeah, that's
Nick.
what I'm
Well, how
saying.
old
Oh,
was
you had an
Matt?
older brother, though. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have an older brother.
Game
So my brother
changer.
would have been 7.
Perfect
So I
Jedi
think,
time.
I think what
Yeah.
would have happened is that they would have taken us all. Because I remember seeing that and Aliens in the theater.
But also, you remember something from when you were 3?
I mean, yeah. It's
I feel like
it's a good
memories
movie.
don't
get
fully
little,
form
like,
until you're like
hintsy.
3 and 12 months.
Well, maybe for you idiots.
I don't know if I have any memories before
3
12.
and
Goddamn
12
much.
months. I'm like in utero. You can remember what it feels like.
Oh, man. Directed by Irvin Kershner.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things that we all fucking know now, but I feel like it's not common knowledge. I think that most people, the mainstream, would just think that George Lucas directed all of them.
No, he did not. He
Because I
only did the first
remember,
one.
That's
I
what
remember
people
being
think.
pretty mind blown when I was like 12, finding out this little fun fact.
And then you told
Yeah.
all your friends, and they were like, "Wow, Tim knows a lot
Tim
about
knows
Star
so
Wars."
much, man. He's a fucking Star Wars.
Yeah, I
guy.
never. What was the deal with him not wanting to direct the next 2? Was it just that he got really burned out on the
No,
first
I don't
one?
think it's that he didn't want to. I think the studio was like, "Hey, we're gonna handle this."
There was a
Yeah,
lot of weird shit going on. I got so many fun facts for this one, some really interesting stuff. But going here, Irvin Kershner, he gained notice early in his career as a filmmaker for directing quirky independent drama films while working as an influential lecturer at the University of Southern California.
USC.
Later in his career, he transitioned to high-budget blockbusters such as The Empire Strikes Back, the James Bond adaptation Never Say Never Again. What's your thoughts on that one, Nick?
That's one of the most fascinating Bond movies because it's not an official like Bond movie.
Just
It
so
was
weird.
a rights issue weird thing, and it's a remake of Thunderball. So one of the producers that was pissed off at the other producers said "screw you," and through some weird loophole was able to remake Thunderball, and it came out the same year as a Roger Moore Bond movie.
No way.
So they called it the Battle of the Bonds.
Whoa.
Isn't that crazy?
That is one of the coolest things I've
And I
ever
think,
fucking
unfortunately,
heard.
and it was Sean Connery's return to James Bond after a very, very long time. And he said, and I quote, "I'll never play James Bond again," which is why the movie is called Never Say Never Again.
Jesus Christ.
Isn't that
Return of the
amazing?
James Bond.
I just tossed to you expecting nothing, and you gave me gold.
You just happen to touch on the most controversial James Bond movie. It's a fun movie.
I was half
Thunderball's
expecting
better.
Nick to be like, "Nah, I just made all of it."
Yeah.
up."
No, it's cool. I forget which Roger Moore movie was out that movie. But I think Roger Moore actually his movie did better. Sadly,
He also did a RoboCop 2.
Huh.
a good movie, but not as good as the first one. But fucking scary as shit. There's a scene where they strap a guy down and they cut his like heart out or something. I was like terrified when I was a kid when I watched that.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
According to Kershner himself, he once asked writer-producer George Lucas, of all the younger guys around, all the hotshots, why me? Lucas replied, well, because you know everything a Hollywood director is supposed to know. but you're not Hollywood.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a very Lucas thing to say.
yeah, because
too.
Lucas historically not Hollywood. In
Yeah.
fact, we all know he's got ILM sitting, 30 miles north of us right now.
Thank God.
Which is crazy.
So cool to have it close by.
This movie had a budget of $18 million.
$18 million.
$18
That's
million.
And just a quick thing, going back to the whole Lucas thing, I think this was all his own money.
In order to avoid sharing creative rights, George Lucas decided to avoid using a major studio to finance this film. Instead, he bankrolled the entire production himself using a combination of his profits from Episode 4, A New Hope, and a bank loan. Although the move was risky, it paid off several times over. Lucas recovered his investment within 3 months of the film's release. He then showed gratitude far beyond the Hollywood norm by sharing the profits with his employees, nearly $5 million in bonuses.
God damn.
Wow, that's
And
dope.
think about that. Like $5 million then. If 18 million made this movie, that's a chunk of change right there.
And
So
sorry, go ahead.
Well, we got a lot. Do you have any facts about the toys? And how
I mean,
it's-
there's endless facts. And
I
like there's
love
the Empire of Dreams. Is that the name of the
yeah,
documentary?
I haven't watched it, but Kevin was recommending it.
Very cool stuff. You learn a whole bunch of cool stuff. Highly recommend that. And when Disney Plus comes out, like all the documentaries are going to be there. So
Oh,
that's
I didn't know that.
That's
That's
going to be
pretty
fun. A box office of $538.4 million.
In 1980.
Yes, making it
$500
the number one
million
of 1980. Not as much as the original Star Wars, which makes sense because that movie was re-released so many times. And
Sure.
like,
Well, you also have to remember, like in the 80s, sequels, I mean, obviously this is a different beast altogether, but sequels historically, like up until maybe like the 2005, 2006s, sequels used to be like, oh, they're big, but they were not as big as the original movie.
yeah.
And now we've got sequels that just keep turning in more and more and more money, which is crazy.
yeah. And then a runtime of 2 hours and 4 minutes. Before we get to the plot, some little may the facts be with you. This is the first one to have an episode number. So when A New Hope first came out, it was just called Star Wars. It didn't say Episode 4 or anything. It was just Star Wars. Then when this came out, it was Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back, and it confused a lot of people.
it's so
Because
confusing.
they're going
Did
into
they
like,
go back
they're
and-
like, wait a minute.
Did we miss a bunch?
This isn't 2? How is this 5? Like, that doesn't make any fucking
The
sense.
first one was 3.
And then they re-released 4
First one was
as
4.
4.
No, I'm
Right.
just like,
Oh,
as
God,
a-
even more confusing.
What an
Yeah.
interesting and crazy thing for him to do.
Yeah.
Because he didn't need to do that. He could have gone back and just done prequels, but the fact that he kind of had it in his brain even all the way back then.
Well, that's the thing is
do more
he
movies.
didn't. Like it's like it was kind of pieced together where this was the moment where he was like, "Oh, we're gonna do this." It wasn't the plan from the beginning.
Yeah.
And again, the documentary goes into a lot of interesting things there.
And really quick, just to go back to the whole directing thing, I think it was because he was producing, writing, directing, and all of that stuff in the first one where, like, directing, he was just tired out. So he was like, I just need to, I will have, like, an overseeing, like, kind of force in this whole thing, and I just need someone else to be there.
Because he had like
the
medical
Emperor.
problems after the first one, right? Didn't he have like a heart attack or some shit or a panic attack?
He had some, like,
During
health
the first-
stuff,
during the
and,
first
like,
one, right, yeah.
I think it was also, like, just straining time in his personal life and stuff like that. So I think he was just trying to get more of a, like, overlooking position rather than being on set every day, like, looking over all that shit, so.
And then the last little bits before we talk about what we thought about it. To preserve the dramatic opening, we talked a little bit about this last week, but there's some more facts here. To preserve the dramatic opening of the Star Wars movies, George Lucas insisted on moving all the credits to the end of the film. However, although the Writers Guild and Directors Guild had begrudgingly allowed this on Episode 4 because that film wasn't expected to be very successful. They resented the trend being continued on this film. First, they tried to pull Empire from release entirely, but were unsuccessful. Then, they fined Lucas heavily and tried to fine Irvin Kershner, but Lucas paid all the fines himself, nearly $250K. Lucas then bitterly dropped his membership in the Writers Guild, Directors Guild, and Motion Picture Association of America, a move that has hindered his hiring choices on later films.
Isn't that crazy?
That's fucking crazy. And it's also it's baller as hell.
Yeah.
Seems a little stubborn and unnecessary, but it's iconic.
I mean, it's iconic, and also the thing about you have to remember is like after the first one, he knew this one was going to do big business, so it was not a risk. You know what I mean? Like he's like, dude, this is crazy.
Like there was still
Also,
a
he
risk
hates Hollywood.
involved, and like, can you imagine how scary it is to like go out there and be like, I'm gonna do a sequel, and I'm financing myself with all my money and a loan. Woo! It worked out.
It worked out well.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think he just knew that this first phenomenon was a giant sort of thing, and I think it was kind of like given that it was going to make
for sure,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. But the fact that he was able,
His
that
wife
he
was able
snubbed
to.
the guilds, and I think to this day is
That's
still
probably
not
why
a
he
member
couldn't
of the
get an
guilds.
Oscar, you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely not. So before we get to the plot, what do we think? The Empire Strikes Back.
That's a good movie. Yeah.
Watching it again and watching these back to back is obviously a delight, but this movie is far and away like the best Star Wars film ever made.
It's so
freaking good.
it's
It's a
so
bold
special and so
statement.
good. And the thing for me that's interesting is when I was little, this one definitely went over my head because like it's the slowest and it's the darkest and it's very adult and like not a lot of things happen that are like understandable to a young child compared to A New Hope and Return of the Jedi. So I feel like I saw those two a lot more than I saw this one until my adult time where I realized like how special this one is.
Well, as a child too, you watch and you don't connect with this one because you connect with the hero winning, and Luke just loses constantly in this. Even when he's training with Yoda, he's just failing, and that's what this movie is about. It's about his failure. It's about his wrong choices, and it's about like it's really setting up a lot of the stuff for his relationship with Vader. But like, I used to watch this movie and get scared because I knew the ending was coming, and that ending of him hanging off the antenna on the bottom of Cloud City and trying to climb back up. Like I used to have nightmares about trying to climb back up into the hatch and having the hatch close on me, and then he doesn't have the hands, so he can't keep going, and then he falls down further. Like, could you imagine leaving your hero in a more desperate circumstance and him hanging off by his legs at one point and like. When I first saw that when I was a kid, I was just like, what the fuck is he gonna do?
He's fucked.
It's crazy, right? And like,
there were a few moments of kind of positivity and success happening with Luke. Like even in the whole sequences on Dagobah, like all of that like just kind of freaked me out.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's,
the frustration of everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
But and that's what that's what a true second act is for a story, right? It is the time when all of the challenges or the hero faces all the challenges and all the obstacles, and it's really, if you look at the second act for any story, it's usually the longest part of the story because it's the most fascinating because it's the part where he faces the most trouble, the most challenges, and that's where all the growth happens. And then of course Jedi is basically just the climax. It's the third act. It's the everything's blowing up all the time. There's 18 things happening all at once, and we love it.
But going from A New Hope to this, I love just the commitment to everything that made A New Hope special. They're just doubling down on in this, where they're like, okay, now we have these characters that are interesting. Let's develop them. Let's make them more interesting. Let's also introduce new characters that are as special as the ones that we just met in the last movie, right? Let's introduce new planets that feel entirely real. You never once question Cloud City or Hoth or Dagobah. You're just like, oh yeah, those are places.
Yeah.
Those are places people live. I get it. And like that is so special, especially back then. And this one, unfortunately, the 4K remaster isn't finished yet. So I had to watch the special edition. But this one's the least touched of all the other ones. And like the editions, not necessary, but don't detract as much.
I think there's one edition that is super. Wait. We see the Emperor in that, right?
Yeah.
And like the old version looks
Very
terrible,
bad. Very bad.
terrible. So like that was a good correction, I think.
The original version of the Emperor in the
Like
hologram,
clumps on his face.
it's an old woman. Like the actor was an old woman with a man's voice with chimpanzee eyes.
Yeah.
And by the way, it was a different voice than the guy that ended up playing.
Than Ian McDermott,
Yeah, they ended up. I saw a little factoid when I was watching it that said that Lucas was like, we're gonna cast you. He didn't want to cast him, but the director wanted to cast that. What's his name? Ian McDermott.
Ian McDermott, yeah.
And the director pulled him aside. Was like, listen, if you can nail the voice that the other guy did, like, we'll keep your voice, but you gotta like nail. And the guy's like, I got this. Don't
this
worry,
shit, man. Don't.
If
Trip.
you go back and watch it, evidently I didn't go back and watch it back to back, but the original Emperor voice was a lot more like aristocratic, and this one's like a lot more like dirty and nasty. He's like, I'm gonna go with dirty and nasty, and it worked out well. And now
Yeah.
it's iconic, obviously.
But like even just the ship designs, it's like the first one had so many amazing ships, and this one's like we're gonna add to that. We're gonna give you like the snow speeders are cool as hell, like all this stuff. It's just like so great how it adds up. And then John Williams' score. I said it last week. It didn't have the Imperial March, and now it does. And goddamn, can you imagine Star Wars without it?
But
it's so imposing.
Not only that, but like it just feels like he adds more and more and more depth to that score as every movie goes along. And maybe that's just because as you watch them, you become more familiar with those themes that come back. But like Leia's theme is just it's like prominent a little bit through this, and then a lot through Jedi. I just think they make a lot of cool choices, and it's so cool watching all three of these like almost back to back. Because the one thing I never really, it's an obvious thing, but the costume choice for Luke was one of the things that stood out with me again watching this. He starts in a stark white outfit. This one he's very gray in this, and then at the end he's black. He's wearing all black, and it's like, and what you don't realize is that even by like midway through Jedi, he's not a Jedi yet. they even say that they're like, you're not a Jedi. And he's like, even when he starts with, well, I know that, but like, but that's what I love about this is like, we're 2 movies in and he's done all this training and they're still, and his master's just like, you're still not ready. You're not a Jedi. And he's like, I'm going to go face him. And it's like, this is a bad idea. You have not finished your training yet and it's not going to go well.
And he gets schooled.
He gets
like,
fucked up.
yeah.
Loses his hand.
Not only that, but you could tell that like Vader during the fight's like kind of placating him a little bit to see what he's got.
Well,
And
he's
then by the
trying
end
to
of it,
win
he's
him
like,
over, right?
fuck this. And
Yeah.
just cuts his hand off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vader trying to win him over is so cool too. They're just being like, "Hey, the Emperor sees that you're like the future, but be with me."
Yeah,
like
there's that
could
great
kill him,
moment,
yeah.
right, where he's like, "You could join me, and we could fuck up the
could take
Emperor.
over
Yeah.
We
everything.
could take over everything.
Yeah.
Like
we
you're
should
my son.
rule
This could be cool."
Father and son. It's like,
sad,
maybe.
man.
I know,
what
and
mean?
yeah, those
Think about
dynamics
it.
are so well done in this, and it's so, and you know, they do what you got to do, which is they present you with a little like some moral conundrums there, and I don't, not at any point do I think that Luke was ever going to think about that, but his challenge is that he's got to figure out like how to beat his dad, and the way he does it ends up being great. But that's a future spoiler.
Also, that reveal of like, your dad didn't die. Like, I'm your dad. And it's like,
Well,
whoa.
the Luke, like, no, I'm your father line is the biggest twist in cinematic history. Period. Like, everyone knows that now, but nobody knew that.
Yeah.
back
Even in
then.
the production of it.
Here's an interesting little fact here. Much has been made of the lengths to which Lucas and his fellow filmmakers went to keep the revelation that Darth Vader is Luke's father. In a 2004 interview with Sound and Vision, Mark Hamill shared that it was a wonderfully hard secret to keep because Kershner, the director, brought me aside and said, "Now I know this, and George knows this, and now you're going to know this. But if you tell anybody, and that means Carrie or Harrison or anybody, we're going to know who it is because we know who knows." But the truth is that anyone who picked up the novelization of the movie, which was released a month earlier than the film, would have known
Jesus.
the plot twist already. Good thing Twitter doesn't exist, is what the
No
article said.
shit.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks.
No,
What a weird
yeah.
way to kind of like spoil it or whatever. But I like to put myself in that place and time. Like,
Could you fucking
have you ever
imagine?
like recommended a song to somebody and you're like, let me listen to it right now as if I'm listening to it for the first time, and like, how would they sort of absorb this material? That's how I was with a lot of these big like, you know, plot twists and stuff. And I like to imagine myself like, can you imagine being in a theater and watching this unfold in front of your eyes and just having that revelation?
You would have been
Dude,
gobsmacked.
That's my thing that I think we're so lucky that we have Infinity War and Endgame because we just had our generations that moment. Like
Yeah.
it's the same thing where like Infinity War ended and things are bad. We knew they were going to be fixed, but we didn't know how. There was that year of just like waiting, and then we got Endgame. It was fucking awesome. But it's like we got to experience that. Like I can't imagine what that would have been like for fucking Empire when these movies, these blockbuster movies, weren't coming out 4 times a year.
We saw Jeremy Renner's haircut. Like,
We did.
Whoa,
man.
whoa!
Some
you
things
know?
are changing,
Yeah.
man.
I didn't think that was
going
style
back to
anymore.
the,
It is.
Going back to the score real quick. Something
actually-
that I really, really love that this movie does is when you look at musicals, I always say that I like if you can listen to just the soundtrack and get the story from the musical. I feel like that's like a real solid point of like what makes a musical special. And if you listen to the soundtrack and miss a bunch of key plot points, it didn't do its job. I feel like you can just listen to the score of Empire and you won't know exactly what's going on, obviously, but like you'll be able to vision, even if you haven't seen the movie, what's going on. Like, is this like what type of scenes happening? And like there's songs used in this this movie that I don't think ever come back, but when they're going through the asteroid field, it's like na 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 na.
Oh, that
It's
comes
like,
back.
It's fucking awesome. It's just such an awesome like space song. you know?
Triumphant.
Yeah.
Real quick, just to go back to the reveal.
Oh, good.
I remember when Spencer, my little brother, turned 7. Like, I like sat him down and like we're gonna watch these Star Wars movies. And like to see someone have that, like see that reveal. Like I remember after Empire ended, there was so much talk of like, whoa, what does that mean? It's like, hold on. And just put in Return of the Jedi. Oh,
Let's
it's so
fucking
cool.
go.
Yeah.
And
And
it sucks to like that was always a fact for me. Like one of my first memories is watching the very first Star Wars. So like I never got to experience that reveal of like, oh shit, that's his dad. Like I've always just
always known.
Same
so
here.
it sucks. Yeah.
Same with me. Yeah. It's just something that I feel like. I remember having a sick day and asking my mom to like rent the trilogy for me at Freeze Frame, the local like movie store or whatever.
Jesus.
And I had already known because I had seen it prior, and so that was never like a big shock to me.
Yeah.
But I just watched it because I just wanted the Legos and I would play with the ships and shit.
Yeah, I don't think I had the surprise moment either.
Yeah.
Did we watch Return first?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be silly.
That's a. I was trying to think of like another Machete order sort of thing.
Yeah.
You watch Jedi first, so you really get.
Well, it's just one of those things where it's like we had all the VHSs, and I don't know that like. No, they
You
probably
knew
had.
the
They
order.
probably had the numbers on them. It was the black collection.
You're like these
The-
Roman numerals. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I loved Roman numerals growing up.
Oh, yeah,
I
me
was all
too.
about that.
Real cool.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I probably have watched Jedi the most when I was a kid because I loved the green
It's just the
lightsaber and I
coolest,
loved
man.
his
So
black
cool.
outfit.
No,
and
it
the
was,
speeder bikes.
it was
Yeah. Oh, the speeder bikes are the coolest fucking thing in all of Star
It
Wars.
was always Empire for me because I was so infatuated with the design of the snow speeder. Like that was like that was one of the first Lego sets I owned. I was all about the. And now I watch it, I'm just like, man, a lot of bad ADR. Like,
Do you think
Dak
there's
is just a terrible actor.
Oh yeah. Do you think there's someone on Hoth that was like, guys, they're just speeders, okay? You don't have to call them snow speeders just because we're in the snow. Like the company that makes these just, you know what I mean? You can take them on desert, you can take them everywhere. They don't have to be snow speeders.
I think I made a mistake.
But they're basically A-wings.
during another ship that I
A-wings are
fucking
dope.
love, A-wing.
A-wings and X-wings are dope. Y-wings can suck it.
I think I made a.
suck so bad.
Y-wing bombers? They're great.
Come on, get out of
fucking
here.
lame.
Cool, they're all
Y-wings
cool.
are great.
Where are they
ones
carrying
that
the
aren't great are
bombs?
the
B.
big kind of carrier
B-wings.
ships that the
Oh.
rebels
Yeah,
have.
the-
yeah,
Why do
yeah,
they
yeah.
look like
The cruisers?
They look like STDs.
No, they look like poop.
What?
Like when you eat too much
They
nuts.
look like STDs.
What is that?
Wait, you're talking about that or the frigate? Because there's the frigate and the cruiser,
The frigate.
right?
He's talking about the frigate.
frigate's the one that has a
just
little thing
a
on the
bunch
bottom.
of random lumps coming out of
That's
it.
the cruiser.
okay. Oh, I like
Those
that.
things are gross.
So I think I made a mistake during A New Hope in review where I said that the sound effects I don't like are the Empires. Yeah, I fucked that up. I meant the pretty much every ship that's a part of the Rebel Alliance is like it's just like a little fart, you know, like the
Yeah.
snow speeders when they're shooting.
Well,
like
because they're old, cheap ships
I've
that they
never,
put
like-
together.
Yeah, because when you said the TIE fighters, I was like, nah, the sound
Those are
they
way
make,
cooler.
yeah, they're super cool. I was very confused by it.
All right, hit up the plot, Andy.
oh fuck! Oh my god, I forgot. Hold on. Greg's not here. Fuck.
Cause he sucks,
But
Greg's, Nick is here cause he doesn't suck. Here's the
I
plot.
forgot that song. My
Man.
bad.
Great.
It's been a while.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, bow, we get the Star Wars logo and the famous scroll. It's a dark time for the rebellion. Even though the Death Star is destroyed, the Empire ain't stopping. They've driven the rebellion to hide on a remote ice planet of Hoth. And Darth Vader is super obsessed with fighting Luke Skywalker, even though he could have picked up Yellow Pages at any point and seen his ass listed under Tatooine. Anyway, he's sending out a bunch of probes all across the galaxy to find the rebel base Luke has set up on Hoth. And boom, we're on Hoth. Luke is out for his morning Tauntaun ride, where he spots one of the probes crash landing in the snow. He radios Han that he wants to check it out, but before he gets a chance, he's attacked by the abominable snowman and dragged into the Yeti's cave. Han.
Depends on who.
Lando
talks
Lando
to.
keeps calling him Han. and
Depends on
it-
if you're
it's
from
annoying.
Chicago.
The,
Sure.
the entire
You know?
second half of this movie, it just changes to Han.
Yeah,
it makes
it's
no
very
fucking
annoying.
sense.
Han heads back to the base, and Chewie gives him shit for not being able to fix the Falcon. He heads to the command center, where Snow Bunny Leia overhears him telling the general
Bunny Leia.
that he has to
God damn
leave to
it.
repay his debt to Jabba the Hutt. Leia plays it cool at first. She's like, and he's like, "Well, don't get all mushy on me. So long, princess." And he bounces, and she follows, and they start arguing in the hall.
Yo, straight up, Han sucks in this movie. Like, why is he such a dick?
He's a dick.
The entire time. And
He's
like,
antagonistic.
there's moments where it's endearing, but there's a lot of moments where you're like, what is your plan here? What's your game?
Have they been like messing around?
yeah.
Yeah.
He
So like that
knows-
wasn't their first kiss. in
He
the
knows.
hallway.
He
All right.
knows
No,
she's into him, and she will not admit it. And so he's being antagonistic, which to me is a little bit flirty and a little bit like, "Come on, like, come on."
It's
Jaman.
it's childlike flirtation.
It's aggressive, Han.
Like, I'm going to be a dick to you.
Back it down a
And
little
I hope
bit.
you're into it. I remember the song, by the way. Greg's not here, so Nick will say the plot. Will there be a lot of sexual jokes? I hope not.
There you go.
There's the song. Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Leia and Han
Well,
argue. She says she wants him to stay because of what he can contribute to the rebellion, and he thinks she wants him to stay because of what he can contribute to the bedroom.
Well, don't look at
No,
me. What do you
okay.
say? You don't have to look at me.
Catch my lightsaber.
No, I
I put
don't.
that in there too.
Careful, it's hot.
Just
she
keep
said,
reading.
She says we need you, and he says,
reading.
"What about what you need?" And obviously wanted her to get her to admit that she loves him. You want me to stay because of the way you feel about me? And she goes, "You're imagining things." He says, "You're afraid I'm gonna leave without giving you a goodbye kiss." And she says, "I'd rather kiss a Wookiee." And he's like, "That could be arranged. I got a Wookiee in the hangar right now."
I like that line.
Sick little bitch.
Yeah. And then I just put a note in here. This is a totally unprofessional conversation to be having in front of the troops because there's people just walking back and forth like,
Yeah.
like
Why do they always
fuck
do
her, get it
this
over
here?
with.
I thought it was an interesting design choice, like blocking choice, to have like people walk just straight in between them.
Right.
Like,
Well, I like
why?
it because Leia is obviously a leader and she's trying to keep some air of professionalism. But like, she doesn't want to admit this, obviously, to herself because of what the ramifications mean. But also, like, bro, we're in the hallway.
We're also like,
we're
we're
in the
dealing with a lot of
There's some
stuff.
shit going on,
and,
man.
and you went from being a smuggler to a fucking general in like the span of 15 days. So like, obviously, people are already questioning why you got promoted so quickly. They think you're banging me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, yeah, be professional.
Bro, but he
Han.
also saved the day. Like he saved
That
the
should
day.
get him like a
Otherwise,
colonel position,
Yeah,
not a general.
Also, to
he's
be
like an admiral
is
by
he
Jedi.
is he a general?
Yeah, they call him General Solo in
Yeah.
this.
Also, to be fair, isn't this a year after A New Hope?
Nobody knows.
It takes at least 3 years to become a general. That much I know.
But we're in space. There's space rules now. Nick.
Space general,
Space
true.
rules, man. Forget everything you know.
Back in the hangar, C-3PO tells Han, no one's seen Luke in a while, and then Han utterly fucking eviscerates the deck officer for no reason. You're right, Han is kind of a dick at this. He's like, deck officer, if you see Luke, the guy's like, I don't know. He's like, well, fucking figure it out, bro. He's my friend. And the guy's
Yeah.
like, dude, fucking
Like,
relax.
you just
man.
got here.
Jesus.
You just got here.
I just came on shift. I haven't had my coffee yet. Like, chillax, bro. General Han, we all know how you got that position.
So C-3PO is annoying as fuck in this entire movie, in all the fucking movies, right? And I was wondering, I'm like thinking about it, why is it that he's so annoying but we're okay with it? And we don't think of C-3PO as a Jar Jar character, right? And the reason is because the characters in universe act like he's annoying.
Yeah.
Constantly. Like they give him shit, they like shut him up, they whatever. So it's like the fucking honking is on our side, I guess.
all right, yeah.
But it's
I
like,
feel like-
that's cool because I feel like a lot of
Just
times
shut
when
those
things
windows.
are played for stupid ass jokes, like Jar Jar, there are moments of him being annoying, but overall it's like he's just doing goofy shit in the background and people are just letting it happen.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know.
Qui-Gon
Yeah,
gives him a lot of
Qui-Gon
shit.
gives him a lot of shit, catches his tongue.
No, but you're right. in
Tells
this
him
one,
to
like,
shut up.
There's
There's
a
moments
moment
of that, but this it's the entire
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
I forget if it's this or Jedi, but there's a moment where C-3PO. Oh, I think it's in Jedi where he asks C-3PO to communicate with the Ewoks, and as he keeps turning, he keeps tapping him on the shoulder, and then he's like, "Ask him about this. Oh, and ask him to get our guns, and hurry up." Like just like I don't want any more of it. It's just a great little nod to you're right.
But also, I feel like R2D2, we always assumed he's talking shit the entire time.
yeah.
Anytime he's beeping, it's like
Right.
just insulting him.
But the other thing is also C-3PO more often than not is the voice of reason, like saying we should not be doing this.
Yeah,
You guys
like,
are
we
making
gotta leave.
irresponsible
Yeah.
choices, which is
Yeah,
It's
he's
true.
always
Always
wrong.
wrong.
I don't know that he is, because like when the attack happens on Hoth, he's like, we need to leave. And like Leia's like, no, we got to get these things out of here. And it's like, no, we need to leave. Vader is going to be like right there.
I can hear his ass breathing. I have better fucking
And
hearing than you.
there is the moment on the Falcon where he's also trying to get Han's attention and it's just like, hey,
Oh,
guys,
right,
like
yeah,
I know
yeah, yeah.
I'm fucking annoying. I know.
The
But yeah.
hyperdrive is broken.
It's broken. I know. I interface
God,
with
Kevin
Peter.
is R2 and you are
It's
C3PO.
true.
Hate it.
It's so
So
like
true.
spot on.
That makes me
dude.
Han. What's up?
What's up?
What's up?
Who am
I'm
I?
Han. I don't know.
Leia,
You're
I think.
You're probably right. Yeah, you, I guess. Okay, so and then Han's like, you know what? This is not good enough. I got to go out and look for him. And the deck officer's like, dude, your tauntaun's gonna freeze before you reach the first marker. And then Han turns to him and says, then I'll see you in hell.
I'll see you in hell.
I'll see you in hell.
What the?
And the guy's like,
No, I mean, it's the right
you don't
call.
have to do that. Put a jacket on it. He's like, am I being unreasonable?
We have
And C-3PO's
Tauntaun
like-
jackets.
And C-3PO's like, you see what I'm talking about? You see what I'm talking about with this guy? Jesus Christ.
One of my favorite lines.
God, it's great. Back in the Yeti cave, Luke comes to and realizes he's hanging upside down. His feet are frozen to the ceiling. How the Yeti did that, I have no idea, but it's really cool.
I love the pan shot of just we see the like random ass ice shit and it goes over through the sculptures. Then you see Luke hanging upside down.
Yeah.
It's baller.
I'm calling him the Yeti, but what is the character's actual name, Barrett? Do you know?
The
Garrett.
The Wampa.
there you
Thank
go.
you, Bruce. The Wampa is enjoying a quick little appetizer not too far away from Luke. What's the main course tonight? How about some nice raw Skywalker served ice cold with a Budweiser? Doesn't that sound good?
Why do you wink?
I like it. I like it.
Luke looks over and notices that his lightsaber is laying in the snow just out of arm's reach. Thankfully, he has the Force. He reaches out with the Force, and Force pulls the lightsaber to him. As the Yeti realizes what's going on, he rushes over. Luke cuts himself, his legs clean from the ceiling, and then again, just proving that all Jedis are assholes, just cuts the thing's arm off.
Hell yeah.
Why do they keep cutting people's arms off? Cut his head off, for Christ's sake. Now this thing's got to live with one arm for the rest of his life.
He'll probably live. It
Yeti has
cauterized
great
the wound.
hearing too.
He does have good hearing. Well,
Great
he's huge.
hearing. Because like
He's big.
Well, he's huge.
there was just snow kind of like
Big ears, Tim. Big ears.
The snow was
Kevin
like
got it.
the snow was like barely rustling around the lightsaber. And he's just like immediately like, what? Like it's like, how did you hear that
This
that
is
well?
dinner, man. It's like when Postmates is coming to deliver that T-bell. You're like,
just kinda
I'm
know it.
watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like
an
that.
oft-quoted myth is that the Wampa attack on Luke was devised to explain the actual scars on Mark Hamill's face because he had been involved in a car crash and had to have reconstructive surgery. Hamill did indeed survive a serious car crash in January 1977, but did not have any visible scars by the time Empire began filming over 2 years later.
Huh.
That's interesting because I
that's
read
interesting.
somewhere very specifically that was saying that was in fact the case.
Yeah.
That they added that scene because of the scars on his face.
People
Luke came out later and was
people
like, nah.
can't agree on that. People can't agree on the fucking if he yelled Carrie in the last movie. A lot of debates on here.
But it was also I read that it was also to hide the scars that like had just like because now he has scars on his face, like not like fresh cuts, but like actual scars. You know what I mean?
He also looked like he aged like 20 years.
But that's
They all
because of the accident, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And fame, man.
Leia
That's
does
crazy
not look
things
like
to
she's
do.
aged a day.
Yeah.
Not in
Leia looks
this.
great.
Little snow
They all started
bunny.
to get a little old in Jedi. Luke escapes the cave and collapses as Han approaches on his tauntaun. Back in the base,
Why?
R2, because it's a great fun thing to say. Back in the base, R2 stays outside scanning for Luke until they have to close the door. It's a great little scene where he's
Yeah.
like, he
So
doesn't
loyal.
want to come in. And it's
God,
great.
R2's great.
Back in the hangar, Leia is told there's nothing more they can do for the night. They got to close the blast doors before it gets too cold and freezes everyone. Luke lays in the snow half dead. He hears the voice of Obi-Wan, who appears to him as a Force ghost. Obi tells him he's got to go to Dagobah, where he will learn from Yoda, the Jedi Master who will instruct him. And Luke's like, great. I'm dying. How about you fucking help me out? And Obi-Wan's like, what? Oh, I got another call. See you later. It's like, dude, how the fuck am I
Tell
gonna-
someone where I am.
Thankfully, though, as he disappears, Han appears on his tauntaun. He parks it and then heads over and grabs Luke and drags it over his tauntaun as the tauntaun keels over and dies.
A fact here, when shooting on location in Norway, a fierce snowstorm hit the hotel where the cast and crew were staying. This would normally halted filming, but the director thought these weather conditions were an excellent opportunity to film the scene where Luke wanders through the snow after escaping the Wampa cave. He did this by sending Mark Hamill outside into the cold while he and the cameraman stayed and filmed inside the hotel's front hall.
Isn't that cool?
That's so cool.
Real
That's
cool.
awesome. Do you tell? Oh,
Yeah.
ice cool.
Also,
Ice cool. Yeah.
I find
And
it.
he just shakes his head.
I find it
I thought
interesting.
Bruce rolls eyes over there.
I find it interesting they never redid the tauntaun scene because I feel like that stop motion looks really
Yeah,
dated.
it's classic.
Really
I like
dated.
it, though.
I
It's
like it,
classic.
but I'm just saying with all the revisions that have happened over time,
I agree.
I'm shocked that they never changed that.
Added 10
Of
more
course,
fucking
Han drags Luke over to the
tauntauns.
tauntaun, his
10,
carcass, and fires up Luke's lightsaber, which is cool. I think it's like one of the only times you actually see someone else in the original trilogy use a lightsaber that's not a Jedi. And he cuts open the tauntaun's stomach, and its innards just spill out. And he
God,
goes,
they
I thought
look
they smelled
gross.
bad on the outside. And when I was a kid, I thought they both. I didn't realize that Han was starting to build a shelter. So I caught in that line. He's like, this will keep you warm while I build the shelter. I missed that one all throughout my childhood. So I thought legitimately that Han and Luke just cuddled in the belly of the tauntaun. I was like, that's real friendship right there.
Yeah.
You gotta like give body warmth.
I don't think it's big enough for that.
I don't know, man. That's
I don't
what
think it's
thought.
big enough for Luke. I don't know how he pulled that off. I'm glad we didn't get a shot of Luke just sticking out of his stomach.
Yeah, I wrote a note here. I thought they just both slept in the tauntaun overlap like Andy and I do before every KFAF shoot. The next day, Rogue 2 and his squad of snow speeders search for Han and Luke, and they hear "Good morning, nice of you guys to drop by." Coming on the radio, and it's Han. And he's like, "What's up, man? We're just hanging out here. Why don't you get your fucking ass over here?" Back at the base, they throw Luke in a jacuzzi and bring him back to life. He's got a few scars, but you know what? Chicks dig scars. Han gives
much.
Leia. What's that?
Too much.
Too much? Yeah, too much. Too many scars, or I went too far.
His sister.
That's fair. Back at the base, they throw. Han gives Leia shit for keeping him around. It was the general's idea. It's not safe for ships to leave right now. She calls him a scruffy-looking nerf herder, and then pisses him off by kissing her brother with a galactic level of tongue. It is not. It is an inappropriate thing.
I hated all this.
It's weird because
So
He
dumb.
didn't know.
you know that Lucas knew.
So he didn't.
He
So,
didn't.
as it turns out, this was not part of the original plan. Lucas loves to talk about how he had planned much of Star Wars story far in advance. However, we know that Leia as your sister was a last-minute addition because the original script for Empire Strikes Back mentions Luke having a separate twin sister. This is likely why, even in the final script, Yoda's ambiguous when Obi-Wan says, that boy is our last hope. Yoda says, no, there's another. This would have fit
cool line.
having a long-lost twin sister out in the galaxy. And then, then when you look at future spoilers return, you're like, did you need to be related? Not really.
Not really. They didn't really do. I mean, presumably they were going to push that farther in the next 3 movies.
It's not the brother kissing sister. I see that shit every night on Pornhub. Like it's always like sister brother shit.
No, it's
But-
stepbrother.
Yeah,
stepbrother,
stepbrother.
stepmom,
20 years.
stepdad, all that shit. But it's just this scene is filmed like a fucking Saved by the Bell scene.
Like,
But I mean,
you're
that-
telling,
that was
you're
like-
telling me you don't like Luke being all like smug.
But that
I
was,
hate it.
but like
It's
that
so
was.
bad.
I feel like that's very clearly the intention. She's not kissing Luke to be like, oh, I like Luke. It's to be like, fuck you, Han. You know?
Yeah, but
and,
Luke-
and even
but
Luke,
it's
and even
everything
Luke,
about it that
Luke,
sucks.
I feel like everyone's aware, so that's why Luke gives the like, yeah, all right.
And we get some of the best lines in this scene, like "Laugh it up, fuzzballs," scruffy looking nerf.
That
herder,
shit's
and all
great.
that. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
all
no,
fucking
that
great.
shit's fine.
Okay,
Do you support making out with your sister?
no.
I mean, I do.
All right.
I'm fine with it. It's just 20 years.
Yeah, 20
right?
years, yeah.
Yes.
God,
No.
you guys,
But then
you guys need to stop.
but then I
away from
expected
that.
like Han to look at Luke and be like, "Come on, preppy!" Like, like it's just like he's Slater in this scene. It was just so fucking dumb.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying that like it's a bad thing, not realizing how great Saved by the Bell is.
yeah, we
You
need Saved by the
fucking
Bell in
monster.
this movie.
Back,
Empire Strikes Back.
back in the command center, they pick up a metal object in the wild, transmitting an Imperial code. Han and Chewie go to check it out, and discover an Imperial probe. Chewie runs a little diversion while Han blows it to pieces. It's a good bet the Empire knows we're here. Time to start the evacuation. Up in space, a Star Destroyer is eclipsed by an even bigger Star Destroyer.
Fuck yeah.
Which is like
Superstar Destroyer.
unbelievable. Vader, of course, it's Vader's Super Star Destroyer because he can't be like, I'm not rolling fucking small. Like, oh, that's your Star Destroyer? General fucking Nita or whatever your name is. Check out my shit, bro.
Bitch.
Look at my whip. Look
need
at my
a bigger
whip.
ship.
Yeah, why don't you get a bigger ship? Maybe. No, okay. I said maybe he's compensating for not having any arms or legs or penis.
Yep.
His penis didn't get
It
cut off.
did. It did. It was dangling, you know? He just.
Anyway, the Imperial droid's
what they
transmitting
do.
back the image of the shield generator, and Vader gives the order to set a course for the Hoth system. Han and Chewie work on the Falcon and almost blow it up. Love the scene because Han's like, "That's it, try it, I got it, try it," and then it blows up. He's like, "Turn it off, turn it off!" Just the back and forth between Han and Chewie is.
I
great.
really enjoy it, yeah.
Luke says goodbye to Han, who tells him to be careful. They both have trouble using their words to describe their feelings. I don't know why I fucking wrote that. What an idiot. General Veers, the bad guy from Indiana Jones 3, tells Vader. Wakes Vader up in his little pod chamber. It was a little nap time. Vader's taking a little nap.
Nap.
And I was like, this is so cool. I was like, what the fuck is he doing there? What's he doing in there?
What do you think he's doing, Nick?
I think he's
cool.
watching Netflix and just
Yeah.
chilling. Like, you know what, guys? It's hard out there for a pimp. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard being the leader. Of
You
this
don't
whole
think
thing.
he's got like Netflix built into his,
His
helmet?
helmet?
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Probably cool. He tells Vader they've come out of lightspeed. Vader tells him they come out of lightspeed too close and spook the rebels who are now preparing to escape the system. Vader tells Veers he's going to force choke the shit out of Admiral Ozzel for coming out of lightspeed too close to the system because he's as clumsy as he is stupid. But since the planet has a shield generator that can withstand any bombardment, he orders the troops to the surface. Then he calls up Admiral Ozzel and ices his dumbass. This is so fucked up. He's like, "Hey, what's up?" He's like, "Hey." Stupid
Great
idiot.
example of the power, though.
Yeah.
It's like we've already had it set up. You can force choke, but it's like, oh, you can motherfucking force choke over FaceTime.
Yeah.
I wonder, like,
Oh,
if for these characters, if they had to audition, like, hey, how well can you like pretend to
How
be
be
choked?
choked?
Some of the sound effects were just really visceral.
Yeah.
You know? I'm just tired of this.
Yeah, it's done, I
Back
guess.
down on Hoth in the command center, Leia gives orders.
Someone might trip on that.
Damn,
Seems like a
okay.
slip hazard.
Okay, man.
A fact for you here: at 30, Episode 5 has the lowest body count of the entire Star Wars saga.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, yeah, but like a fucking planet just exploded the
Yeah. That's true. In both of the other ones. Also, I feel like this is what we can see Vader just like he no longer has a leash on. You know, he's just killing out admirals left and right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a great place for.
Oh God. No, we're not.
No, we are.
all the money, you know, Watto, you know he was small boy.
Yeah, okay.
What about his thighs?
He was a small boy.
No. Last week, a lot of people, they say, hey, Watto.
I like that he can't keep it together.
Touched me.
Hey, Watto, what's this bit about, eh? What do? You come on the show. You just started my pumpkin.
What are you saying?
No,
Pumpkins?
Hey, you know what I mean, man. It's Watto, yeah?
It's Watto, yeah.
It is Watto.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. I
can see how red his nose and his face is.
You trust old Watto. He's known him since he was small. No bigger
It is Watto.
All right, Watto knew etiquette since he was a small boy, no bigger than a pumpkin. That's what we got out.
That's right, Tim. You understand, Watto. You understand the power of money, eh? Watto and Tim, we get it. You know what I'm saying over here? Now, Andy, he's small boy. Andy, he was so small.
How small was he?
I'll finish my story.
Okay. Thanks, Watto. Next week we'll get
That's
the
great,
thrilling
Watto.
conclusion to this, maybe. Who knows?
No one makes Greg Miller laugh harder than Greg Miller. We do. We
It
get
is Watto.
Thanks, brother. Thanks,
I love
Watto.
that. I love that. Like I talked to.
Why does he walk off as if he's like a presidential?
He literally just waved to the corner of the room.
All right, where were we?
Okay, back down on Hoth in the control center. Leia gives orders to the pilots on how to escape the planet, and it's very convoluted and does involve shooting something with an ion cannon, which is dope.
dope.
As they start leaving, the big ion cannon blasts one of the Star Destroyers and,
And
just
it just-
completely starts like, going off, which is not how space works necessarily. But what's amazing is they're like, wow, what a cool gun that we have. We should bring that back a bunch of times in this giant fight. Or not. We never
Yeah,
see it again.
that's
Why
cool.
not?
I feel like it was connected to the planet. Must have been right to the planet itself. No.
It's an ion cannon.
But like the blast that it makes looks like it's the size of a city, you know?
It's pretty dope. Luke gets into his snowspeeder with Dax, and Dax is feeling great. So good. He feels like he can take
Just
on the
loves
whole
being
Empire
alive.
by himself. We'll see about that, Dax, when you die in the next scene. Luke and the rest of the snowspeeders execute attack pattern Delta on some AT-AT walkers, and they miss hilariously. Even though the AT-AT walkers have 0 cannons behind them. Maybe execute pattern up the ass. You know what I'm talking about? Like maybe come at them from any angle that's not dead on, because they just have cannons in the front. All I'm saying.
Also, like in these future, like we're in the future, in a long time
No, it's the past.
ago, far away. I wish the snowspeeders could just float.
Yeah, instead of like having to
they
move
need like
constantly.
a hovering ability
Yeah.
where they could just kind of like, let's just stay back here and all
Just
focus
right
fire.
on the side, yeah.
Focus fire this
But that wouldn't matter anyway, because we just established that the armor is too strong for blasters. We got to use
all
the
we need.
tow cables. Oh no, Dax is dead. We'll mourn him later.
Shout
or
out,
not at all.
Shout out to, I think it's what's the original Rogue Squadron game on the N64? Was it just called
Rogue
Rogue
War?
Squadron.
I forget what the cheat code was for, but there's a cheat code called Dead Dak.
Dead back. There you go. I just want to again give a shout out to just the design of this movie, of this franchise being so special. Like the AT-AT design didn't exist,
Very unique, yeah.
and now it does.
It's cool.
Like,
But
that's
also-
fucking cool. They didn't need to do it. I feel like that's what makes, especially the original trilogy, so special. Is there's so many things where they didn't need to do that, but they did, and
But-
that's what makes it all stand out.
It's a really, really stupid design. Like, why do you need to have a walking four-legged, like,
Put one on a
Yeah,
pogo stick.
George Lucas had a Chihuahua, and he was like, "I want that to be a robot."
yeah, and it's just like, they just tangle it and it falls down and then explodes. It just seems...
Luke came up with that plan. They never did it before.
Yeah, no one would be crazy enough to try to like wrap a rope around an AT-AT. But maybe put some more guns on it. Either way, the bad guy from Indy 3 calls Vader, tells him that he's reached the main power generator and they're about to take down the shield. Vader can start landing. Not sure how they got the ATAs down there. Maybe they just dropped them from space like a cat, you know? Whatever.
so cool. That'd be so cool if they
That'd
could
be
drop.
amazing.
They just land.
They successfully harpoon one of the AT-ATs, and it crumbles like a sad old dog that's being kept alive by its owner, even though it can't see, hear, or feel anymore. But we love him. The remaining AT-ATs make short work of the rebel ground cannons as Luke and Rogue 2 make another pass. Luke gets hit and goes down, crashing in the snow. He attempts to pull Dax out before an approaching AT-AT flattens it like a pancake. At least we think he's trying to do that, but it turns out in reality, he's just grabbing his lightsaber and grappling hook. Fuck Dax. He's dead anyway. Let this thing
done,
just
dude.
crap. Just
Was he dead or was he just like
he was dead.
No,
incapacitated?
Dude, Dak was fucking blood on the window. Like he'd already been fucked up, and then the crash. You see, like when they show the scene of the X-wing in or the snowspeeder in the snow, you see like cracked glass with blood in the cracks. It just looked really violent.
Yeah.
Like I was like, whoa, I haven't seen that since like the arm got cut off and you saw the blood kind of.
Well, he's for sure dead now because Luke allowed his body to be flattened by an AT-AT
Yeah.
paw, which is great.
Also
Back,
useless, bad actor. He deserved it.
Yeah,
He deserved it. Yeah.
back in the hangar, C-3PO is trying to get Leia on the last transport. When she gets the alert, Imperial troops have entered the base. She gives the order to evacuate the base and heads off with Han to the transport hangar. Out on the battlefield, Luke grapples up and cuts a hole in the belly of one of the AT-AT walkers. He throws, I think, a thermal detonator and nukes its ass. But it's too little,
So
too late.
cool.
That's an awesome scene, by the
Yeah.
way. Too little, too late, though. The final AT-AT pilot, piloted by Veers, destroys the shield generator. The blast cuts Han and Leia off from the final transport. Seeing no other option, Han radios in that he's going to get Leia out on the Falcon. Han and Leia rush to the Falcon with C-3PO in tow. Vader and some snowtroopers approach as they try to fire up the old bird. The snowtroopers literally have so much time in this scene that they're like, "Hey, get it over here!" And they set up a cannon to take down the Falcon. At which point the Falcon takes off, and then Vader's like, "A cannon? That's what you spent your time on? You didn't want to run up the ramp that was happening there?" The guy's like, "What? This is what we do. This is standard protocol. We run in,
Put the
put
thing
the
down,
tripod
little
down,
tripod.
run back out, get the cannon, put the cannon on the tripod, and try to blast it." Vader's
Normally,
like, "You're
normally
fucking
we have
morons."
more people, but
Yeah.
this is a
Yeah,
three-person
yeah,
job.
Yeah, it's 3-person job. It's only 2 of us. What do you want from us, Vader? You know what I mean? Let's see. Up in space, Luke sets a new course for Dagobah. R2 offers to drive, but Luke tells him he wants to just keep it on manual control, man, because he wants to just relax and cruise out for a while. And he has a nice, just like 5-10 minute drive where nothing's happening and he's
Yeah.
just in his own headspace. Meanwhile, the Falcon's being chased by fucking 9 Star Destroyers and a squad of TIE fighters. And they're like, we have no choice here but to fly into this asteroid field. Cut back to Luke, sipping a Mai Tai, hanging out, a little like Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass playing over the, he's like,
Yeah.
maybe I'll take a nap right now. Just chill.
Dude.
That
Tired.
seems so peaceful.
It was peaceful.
The
Dude,
vibe
it'd be cool.
the vibe I always got from the scene is that like R2 wanted to take over so he could just
So
take him
away.
Yeah, just take him to the rebel like rendezvous point, right?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that line. I love R2 being or Luke responding, "No, I'm good. I can control it from here."
Because
Like
he knows
I
like
know what
R2's
you're trying
gonna
to
pull
do.
some shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Han takes a stick and pilots the Millennium Falcon into the asteroid field. C-3PO tells him the possibility of successfully navigating an asteroid field is approximately 3,720 to 1, to which Han replies, "Never tell me the odds."
Fuck
Love it.
yes.
They head in with the TIE fighters in pursuit, most of whom ping-pong off of small asteroids to their death. Realizing they're going to get pulverized if they stay out longer, the Falcon heads closer to one of the bigger asteroids. Han takes them through a narrow canyon, which basically makes short work of the final 2 TIE fighters pursuing them, and they hide in a very, very deep hole while the rest of the fleet continues to look for them. Luke arrives on Dagobah, crash landing in the swamp. Any landing you can walk away from, you know what I mean? Oh no, my ship is sinking and I'm stuck in Florida. R2 falls into the drink, as they say. Thankfully, the swamp isn't too deep. R2 pops his periscope and heads to land. That's right, 1 ping only. And he's like, R2, get out of there. Stop playing around.
His little random gadgets are so much fun.
There might be something in there. Of course, there is, something in there, and it's a giant little sea snake thingy, and it sucks R2 down, but it doesn't like the taste of it, thankfully, and just spits him out onto the
He
land.
does the R2 scream.
It's such a weird like.
Why?
Yeah.
The rest are beep beep beep, and then he gets this fucking
Yeah.
yell.
It's a weird screech.
It's okay. Later in the series, Chewie has a Tarzan yell. So there you go. Luke questions why he came to Dagobah in the first place, and then R2D2 just throws up. He just it's just disgusting. Back on the Super Star Destroyer, Admiral Pete catches a glimpse of Vader's old pale head as he finishes up his nap time in his pod. He tells Vader the Falcon went into an asteroid field, and Vader's like, I don't give a shit about asteroids. Going after him, stupid head.
They did that, the reveal of seeing his head, because most audiences at the time thought that Darth Vader was a robot.
Oh, they're dumb.
He doesn't need the other
I get
one.
it. What?
Nothing.
Can I get one more of these bad boys?
He got you.
Oh, you're the best around. No one's ever going to take you down. Can I get a glass of ice? Thanks, bud. Back, let's see. Back on Dagobah, Luke gets all of his gack off the X-wing and sets up camp on shore. And I like that he's changed costumes here. I like this is the costume he's gonna wear for the rest of the time. It's awesome. It's great.
Cool little outfit he's got on.
And you
Very
know,
relaxed.
Yeah,
you know?
it's like his casual. Hey guys, it's 6 o'clock. Let's have a cocktail outfit. But I'm still gonna be dressed up in case company comes over. But like, we're gonna party in the Rompus room. And what's great about this is like when I was a kid. I'll explain this to you guys in a second. It looked like he was like, I'm going to set up camp. We're going to figure this out. But I'm kind of hungry. So I'm going to snack on the snack bar. And when I was a kid, I wanted one of those snack bars so badly. Because it looks like a flauta a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
You know? But like, I don't know. And then I didn't
Maybe
notice.
maybe those different what kind of proteins were in
What
there?
was in there, right?
Yeah.
And then I didn't notice it until this last time, but he had a whole little toolbox full of snacks in this. It's great.
Very well prepared.
While he's talking to R2D2, he seems to think there's something familiar about this place. It feels like I'm being watched. And he looks over and he spots a little green man on the branch behind him. Luke tells the little fucker he's looking for a great warrior. And then the little shit proceeds to walk over and start eating a snack. And it's like, bro,
I love it.
what are you doing?
It's amazing, man.
Stealing the light from R2. It's just like, what are you doing?
The little green man starts playing with the rest of Luke's stuff and offers to help Luke if he'll give him this pen light. And Luke doesn't want to give it to him. He wants off this mud hole of a planet. R2D2 tries to grab the pen light from the little green monster, but he starts beating him back with a stick. It's like, get out of here. Get out of here. It's great. Then the little green guy tells Luke he'll stay and help find his friend, but Luke's not looking for a friend. He's looking for a Jedi Master. And the little dude knows exactly who he's talking about. He's like, oh, you're looking for Yoda. I'll take you to him. Ordering R2D2 to stay and watch the camp. Luke heads off with little troll. Back in the cave, Han and C-3PO interface with the ship to figure out what's wrong. Turns out it's the negative power coupling. It's always the negative power coupling. Probably the first thing you should look for. Reminds me of the time my car's AC went out and it was a super bummer. It was the same thing.
Nah, man,
Also,
my
that
car's
remains to
AC's
this day.
still out. Yeah, same
Yep.
here.
We have the throwaway line of like, it's got a really weird accent. Where C-3PO says that about the Millennium Falcon.
The computer.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that's later connected with Solo, man.
Yeah.
Leia works on the ship as well, and she and Han share a moment. Leia hurt her hand a little bit, and Han rubs it. And this is where they actually start to break down, and like they like each other, right? She likes him because he's a scoundrel. She happens to like, and she's like, no, I happen to like nice men. And he's like, well, I'm a nice guy too. And then but he's not, and then they make out. It's sexy.
Ew, gross.
It's it was really weird. This is the scene. This was the exact scene I was watching when I found out that Carrie Fisher had died.
Oh,
So
that's
it's like,
sad.
yeah, it's like I love this movie, but now this is always kind of fermented in the like memory of like, oh shit, she's dead, and it's one of the more iconic scenes I have.
It's a great scene.
Yeah.
And they share a good kiss here. Sometimes movie kisses are lame as shit. This is a good kiss. And then, of course, it's interrupted by C-3PO, who's just like, I don't even...
perfect.
He speaks 7,000 languages, but in none of those languages is the word cock block, apparently.
I love that. That's a
Read the
recurring
room.
thing,
Read
too,
the fucking room, man.
Also, were they having an affair at this point?
What do you mean?
In real life?
Yeah, in real life.
Oh, I don't
Ford? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I forget what, because she said in one of her books
Yeah.
or whatever, she's like, yeah, if Harrison Ford and I fucked. But yeah, I forget like where kind of in the timeline that was.
Vader gets a note from one of his captains that the Emperor wants to talk to him, so he orders that they move out of the asteroid field so they can get a clear signal. He calls up Palpatine, who tells him that there's a great disturbance in the Force. They have a new enemy, the young rebel that destroyed the Death Star. The Emperor is sure Luke is the offspring of Anakin Skywalker, and Vader's like, how is that possible? And the Emperor's all like, remember when you banged Padme in Italy and didn't use a condom? What did you think was going to happen? And he's like, oh, right. It was right where they cut my arms, my legs, and my penis off. He can destroy us all. The Force is strong with him. The son of Skywalker must not become a Jedi. If he could be turned, he could become a powerful ally. Can it be done? He will join us or die.
Fucking awesome. And I love
He
that they
won't join
repeat
us.
this later. So fucking... So cool. The sound of Darth Vader's shuttle door opening is a recording of a whole block of Alcatraz cell doors slamming shut.
That's cool.
That's
Fucking
awesome.
nice.
Man, the Foley people at
Lucas.
Skywalker Sound
yeah.
had way too much time. They're going to Alcatraz, closing all the doors. Come on, guys.
Man,
We
they
can
got
find a
that
door
budget.
like that somewhere near us. Like, nah, we got to go to Alcatraz.
Back in Yoda's hut, R2-D2 stands outside in the rain and peeks through the window while Luke and his new little green buddy eat dinner. The little green man asks him why he wants to be a Jedi, and Luke tells him it's because of his father. And then the green guy tells him his father was a powerful Jedi, and Luke starts to lose his patience. And he's like, how could you possibly know that? Who the hell? What am I doing here? And then suddenly the little green
What's
man...
our time here?
He's like, wasting my time. And then the little green guy drops the charade.
Just starts talking to
starts
Obi-Wan.
talking to Obi-Wan. And he's like, the boy
Which is such a cool
has no
scene,
patience
I think.
and much
Here's-
anger in
here's
him
the
like
thing.
his father.
This movie is so good that this is the second best reveal. Like, that's insane because this in any other movie would be just mind blowing, where it's like no one would have expected that guy. Nobody would have expected him to be fucking Yoda.
Because we've already seen, obviously, that Obi-Wan is a humanoid and like an old man. So you're expecting like a powerful, old, wise mentor, not this
Totally.
little tiny thing.
And the way that Yoda acts the way he does, and then
That
immediately
transition,
He's
oh,
he
testing
it's
him.
becomes
so
this
good, yeah.
wise, like,
Yeah.
you believe it. You believe in this fucking puppet being a character in the same way you believe in the planets. You're like, for the most part, you're like, yeah, that thing's interacting with Luke. They go the extra mile of having his little butt pop up and like when he's like looking
I love
through
it.
his
You see his
shit.
little feet.
Yeah, you just like, you believe in this thing.
Yeah.
And then when he switches characters, you're like, oh shit, things are about to go down. Some facts here, the last facts I have. This one's a little long, but it's cool. In an interview with Leonard Maltin, Lucas admitted that he wanted Muppets maestro Jim Henson to play the role of Yoda. I went to Jim Henson and said, do you want to do this? And he said, well, I'm busy. I'm doing this and doing that. I'm making a movie and all that. I really can't. But how about Frank Oz? Frank's the other half of me. And I said, well, that'd be fantastic. Henson also recommended creature designer Stuart Freeborn, who explained that I was the one who kind of put all the elements of Yoda together. And although Jim didn't make Yoda, George and he had an understanding that they would exchange technology information. George would give to Jim, and Jim would give some of his people to George to help. Wendy Froud helped out a little bit with the character, and 2 other people from Jim's company worked the cables for me. In a 2014 interview, Oz, the normally reclusive puppeteer and director, said that George didn't want my voice in the beginning. I gave him a tape. He said, no, thank you. And in post-production, for about a year, I had heard he was auditioning voices for Yoda. He had no intention of using me for the voice. Then I was on my honeymoon with my first wife about 25 years or 30 years ago, and he called me and said, Frank, can you come out? I think we'd like to try a voice. So I flew back and recorded Yoda.
That's
so
cool.
So
good.
cool.
And Frank Oz did Miss Piggy, right? Is that the
Yeah,
Muppet
I
he
guess
did?
I could hear it now.
I think he did Piggy. I don't think he did Kermit though. I think Kermit was someone else, but I think Frank Oz was Piggy.
I think the conversation, like him switching characters and like getting serious, but not talking to Luke and just talking to Obi-Wan about Luke while Luke is like 5 feet away from him, makes it so serious and being like, bro, this guy's not the guy.
Nice patience,
Yeah.
man.
And
So
like
fucking
and like
tight.
the whole character he's building up is literally like it's the first test and like the part of that reveal and like how he's like this guy is impatient, he isn't ready and all that stuff, and you see like the gears turning in his own head of like this isn't the one. It's
But
so
even
fucking cool.
him turning and talking to Obi-Wan is a
Yeah.
test, right?
Yeah.
He knows Luke can hear him. He knows that he's going to be like, he's trying to evoke a reaction out of him, which is great.
Yeah, like,
and also,
he's too scared, dude. He
yeah,
can't do
like
it.
he's trying
Like,
to
well,
get
no,
him to
I
rise to
can.
the challenge, right?
Frank Oz characters included Miss Piggy, Fozzie Bear, Animal, and Sam Eagle on The Muppet Show.
Yeah, Sam Eagle.
And Grover, Cookie Monster, and Bert on Sesame Street.
Hell yeah, yeah.
And also a million other things.
Yeah.
Including
I
Labyrinth.
wonder how they created his speech patterns.
I don't know, but it's brilliantly written because it's almost like it's weirdly like poetic how he speaks, right?
Didn't they
it's almost
do it,
Shakespearean.
Like, didn't they kind of base it around Japanese grammar almost? I feel like it was from another language of like how sentence structure works in another.
I don't think it was
language.
Japanese. There was another thing that I was reading in facts that like seemed like people were just saying stuff because there wasn't one version of this. But yeah,
Right.
it's based on other languages.
It's like Spanish, how it's like, that's a big candy. You would say like,
big
dulce
candy that-
grande.
a candy
You
bag.
know?
Candy's big.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Me Undies. Oh Lord, Andy, can you just read this first bit here?
Ooh, Woo! Yes, please give us your rendition of what ghost noises are.
Thank you very much. It's the most wonderful time of the year, Halloween. Remember when planning your costume as a kid was the most fun thing you could have pre-Christmas, and now you're an adult. Halloween feels less Halloweeny. Am I right? With MeUndies, they're bringing back the childlike joy of picking out the perfect costume with their spooky prints and Halloween costume onesies. That's right, costumes and onesies. MeUndies makes it easy for everyone. I'm wearing Star Wars MeUndies right now.
Oh yeah,
that's the type of fancy guy I am in review. MeUndies are spooky soft, like designed to be the best thing you've ever put on your body. Soft, like softer than a fluffy kitten dressed up in a pumpkin costume, like softer than the brains zombies love to eat. Too far? Well, you get the idea. These are the softest undies known to man. They're also available in sizes extra small to 4XL. Soft for all. Shout out to you, MeUndies copywriters. You're doing a good job here. We love MeUndies. We always talk about MeUndies. I'm wearing them. Kevin's wearing them. Barrett, you wearing them right now?
I've never owned a pair. I'm sorry.
You messed it up, man. I can help you, though, Barrett. I can help you.
My life is miserable. Make it better.
You can get 50% off your first pair, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guarantee by going to MeUndies.com/morning. That's MeUndies.com/morning.
I wore the Star Wars PJs while I watched the movie last night.
How soft were they?
Which is weird because
Very
you watched
soft.
it in the office.
Yeah, I just came to work with them.
Also, shout out to HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit, you can get easy seasonal recipes and pre-measured ingredients delivered right to your door. All you have to do is cook and enjoy, just like Gia does all the time. She made me this pork chop thing a couple nights ago. Oh my God, Nick.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You never bring me in.
Thanks for the call, dude.
And one of these days, Andy and I are just gonna come over.
Yeah, you're welcome,
and
man.
sit
You're
and
welcome.
open our
You
mouths.
keep saying that, but like, I don't think that you're gonna be.
HelloFresh makes cooking delicious meals at home a reality, regardless of your comfort in the kitchen. From step-by-step recipes to pre-measured ingredients, you'll have everything you need to get a wow-worthy dinner on the table in just about 30
It's worthy.
minutes. You can break out of your dinner rut with HelloFresh's 20-plus seasonal chef-curated recipes each week. HelloFresh is flexible and fits your lifestyle. It adds extra meals to your weekly order, as well as yummy add-ons like garlic bread and cookie dough. And you can easily change your delivery days, food preferences, and skip a week, whatever you need. This is so easy, even James Burke can do it. And if that's possible, literally anyone out there watching can
That
cook
guy can
this.
barely clap.
What an interesting.
All right. You for $80 off your first month of HelloFresh, go to HelloFresh.com/morning80 and enter morning80. For $80 off your first month of HelloFresh, go to HelloFresh.com/morning80 and enter morning80. And finally, shout out to Upstart. As most of us have found out the hard way, getting into debt is easy, getting out is hard, especially if your credit score isn't great. Thankfully, now there's Upstart.com, the revolutionary lending platform that knows you're more than just your credit score and offers smarter interest rates to help you pay off high interest credit card debt. Greg Miller always talks about how this could have helped him back in his earlier days. Upstart goes beyond the traditional credit score when assessing your credit worthiness. They actually reward you based on your education and job history in the form of a smarter interest rate. Upstart believes you're more than just your credit score. They believe in you and they understand you. They make it fast, simple, and easy to check your rate in just a few minutes. And the best part, once the loan's approved and accepted, most people get their funds the very next business day. How does that make you feel, Kev?
That could be the very next day.
See why Upstart's
Very well
ranked
could
number
be.
1 in their category.
planned correctly.
With over 300 businesses on Trustpilot, and hurry to upstart.com/morning to find out how low your Upstart rate is. Checking your rate only takes a few minutes and won't affect your credit. That's upstart.com/morning. Why did your head go to James not being able to clap?
Because I'm, dude.
Oh, okay.
Dude, bro.
Based on Greg Miller's impression of James.
Yeah.
He could barely, got it.
But that's
Okay.
also, isn't that Tim's clap? Yeah.
Back to the plot.
Yoda continues to argue with Obi-Wan about whether or not he should train Luke, saying the kid is reckless,
old.
man. He's too old. He has too little patience. And Obi-Wan's like, was I any different back then? And he's like, yeah, but man, you ultimately failed me because you should have killed Vader about a month ago, and you didn't do that. Yoda tells him he's been watching Luke all his life. Luke is always looking away to the future, to the horizon, never paying attention to where he is. Adventure, excitement. A Jedi craves not these things. He's reckless and too old to begin his training. Luke tells him he won't fail him. He's not afraid. And then Yoda looks him in the eyes and goes, "You will be.
You will be.
Will be."
You.
And then Luke's like, well, fuck, now I am.
Oh,
like,
shit, dude.
I'm really creepy.
I laughed so hard at this.
Dude.
Creepy, man. It's
Hey,
like,
doesn't he also say, like, once you start the training, you have to complete it? And he's like, bro, I will for sure, nothing will make it so that I will leave.
Yeah.
I will for sure finish this. You fucking
Unless my
liar.
friends are going to a party or something, then I'll just go.
Really
Oh,
quick,
man,
I
they're
just
in Cloud City. I gotta go.
I just want to point out that I feel like the Yoda voice is just a harder thing to do. How the fuck did Andy nail that, but still to this day cannot do Professor Snape?
Rattle, rattle, rattle.
No, he's right.
Why is he eating a loaf of bread?
No, well, it's because I like you figure out you can do a Yoda impersonation if you can do
Do you miss Piggy? Louis Armstrong?
yeah, Louis Armstrong. If you
Okay.
can do that, you can do Yoda.
I do miss Piggy.
Huh?
Kermie. No, because Piggy's all like, Kermie. Oh, Kermie. And that's just Yoda.
Did I
at a
say
higher
Luke
pitch.
in that voice?
Luke.
I think that's
the Star Wars
Kermit. Are you doing
special.
Kermit?
Yeah, you're doing Kermit.
Am I doing Kermit?
Yeah, you're doing Kermit.
Oh, Piggy. No, that's Kermit right there.
Oh my god.
Well, you're even saying, "Oh, Piggy." Why would
Everyone
'Cause I
that's
was doing
listening
Kermit.
or watching, I need you to rewind. Go watch this because when Nick just said whatever the fuck he did about Miss Piggy, he then did a thing. He didn't wink with both eyes. It was just a gentle little flutter. Like,
I like the Muppet. All right. Out in space, the Empire continues to shell the asteroid field. Leia spots something sucking on the cockpit and freaks out. There's something outside. When they head outside with cool little gas masks, which is weird, they go out to investigate.
smart?
It's the only time in this
No, I'm
whole
still
series.
thinking about
where
Don't they immediately take it off too?
Yeah, they're just like,
immediately.
what?
They're like, oh no, it's fine.
No, they keep them on. Isn't it like because there's no like oxygen outside? I don't know how space
Presumably.
rules.
I assumed.
They go outside to investigate and notice that the ground is squishy and there's an awful lot of moisture in here. And then Leia has a bad feeling about this. I like how that's echoed. She's like, I had a bad feeling about this. Han,
I was like, fuck this. Psh.
yeah, Han blasts a Minoc off the hull. All is good until the whole flock of the little bastards starts swarming Chewie. And then Chewie sends a blast from his crossbow their way, but it misses and it hits the side of the wall of the caves and the whole thing shakes. And then Han realizes what's going on. He shoots the floor and the cave shakes again. He's like, we gotta get the hell out of here.
I thought her initial like scream reaction to the what's it called?
Minoc.
I love that. Like it was such a well
like,
acted.
it smacks against the window.
Yeah, it was
too,
like
right?
oh
Yeah.
shit, like what?
And it looks fucking
Yeah,
terrifying.
it's really sucky. Rushing everyone back onto the Falcon, they take off as the cave entrance starts to collapse. This is no cave. It's a giant space worm. Back on Dagobah.
It's another one of those moments where I'm like, they didn't need to do that,
No.
but they did.
That's
So
cool.
it's
Yeah.
fucking cool.
terrifying. Back on Dagobah, Luke does an obstacle course with Yoda on his back. Yoda tells him to beware
fun.
of the dark side, anger, fear, aggression, or the dark side of the Force. Once you start down that path, it will consume you as it did Obi-Wan's apprentice, Vader. And then Luke asks, is the dark side stronger? And Yoda says, no, it's easier, more seductive.
So good.
And then Luke says,
God damn.
how am I supposed to know the good side from the bad? And he goes, you will know when you're at peace. The
Don't
Jedi-
kill kids.
Yeah. If you're thinking about
Pretty cut and dry.
killing an entire classroom of toddlers, that's the dark
Yeah,
side.
yeah,
That's the dark side. The Jedi uses the Force for defense, never for attack, unless you are in the prequels and you're Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul. Then you can just get all sorts of angry and just fuck them up. You know what I mean? Like, why use that anger for good, though, for good this time. Sorry, that was a future past spoiler.
Yeah.
They call it quits for the day. Luke gets a spooky feeling from a nearby cave. He goes, "What's in there?" And Yoda says, "Only what you take with you." And he tells Luke to leave his weapons. You're not going to need those. And Luke's like, "Fuck that!"
I
and
love
straps
that.
him back on to his
So
waist.
great.
And Yoda's like, "This
little bitch.
fucking kid. This kid will not listen to me." Luke goes in the cave, of course, and as he gets farther and farther in,
This is like going to the creepy maze in Harry Potter. You don't know what's in
yeah,
there.
it's very, very
you know?
creepy. He climbs into the cave as an iguana climbs out, and the iguana's all like, "Dude, this place is some shit in there, bro. Don't go in there."
Two things I really don't like about this scene in general are I don't like the use of earth animals,
The iguanas and the snakes.
iguanas and snakes.
Yeah.
I just feel like it kind of makes it feel like Florida more than a
Yeah.
planet, which they're just
Florida's
so
more-
immaculate
Florida's-
about otherwise. And the Vader scene when he comes out, like I love the idea, I love the execution of the mask and stuff. I really hate the slow effect.
The slow motion effect was sad because they added it afterward. So you can always tell the difference between like when they did a shot in slow motion, they shot the shot in slow motion
Like a
versus
higher
they said,
frame rate.
we need to go back in post and make
Make
this
it
slow.
last
Yeah.
longer,
And it's
yeah.
never good. It's never good.
But I do love the framing here of it. It does. The shot itself looks like their fight later on in the City of the Clouds, where it looks like that hallway that they're in and stuff like
City
that.
of the
It's just
Clouds.
It's so fucking cool.
Of course, Luke is confronted by Vader, who is his deepest fear. Luke takes a swing at him and cuts his head off, and then his helmet explodes to reveal that Luke is Vader. Vader is Luke.
What could that mean?
What could it mean? It's very ambiguous.
How confusing was it when you were young? You know,
It was very confusing.
So,
I was like,
what?
I was like, I was like, Luke's been Vader the whole time. What a plot twist!
Like
No.
obviously,
Of course.
there's the foreshadowing
It's more
of like
foreshadowing, yeah.
what his connection is, but I think
But it's also what he could become.
Yeah, exactly. For that scene and the context of that scene itself,
If he gives it the dark side.
It
of
always
course.
freaked me out though.
Yeah, as a kid, it was confusing.
Yeah.
Watching this whole sequence as a kid always really freaked me out. It was just very eerie and creepy and like, what is this sort of like he's hallucinating in this like dark, murky area. It was very creepy.
Yeah, dark holes. Not the last time we'll see one. Back on the Superstar Destroyer, Vader. Well, we'll see it later.
Yeah.
It's future spoilers. Back on the Superstar Destroyer, Vader contacts a bunch of bounty hunters to capture the Falcon. He issues a special warning to Boba Fett. He wants them alive, no disintegration. And Boba Fett's like, oh man. Out in the asteroid field, the Falcon is being chased by another Star Destroyer. They attempt to jump to hyperspeed, but it fails yet again. Seeing no other choice, they double back and take on the Star Destroyer head-on the bridge. Captain Nita is informed that they lost the Falcon signal, and he informs Lord Vader, and he's like, you know what, guys? Vader, super rational guy. I'll take the responsibility for this one. All his people are like, fucking, you're dead, bro.
I thought that was a cool scene with Nita being like, "All right, here, hold on to shit. I'm gonna go take full responsibility. Bye, guys."
Yeah,
Yeah.
tell my dad.
Yeah.
Tell my dad.
Remember when Tarkin stopped him from killing all of us? That sucks.
At a certain point, you just
Those were
wouldn't
good
work for
days.
Vader anymore. I'd be like, I quit. No, I'm not
You
going to
know
work
what?
for you.
I'm
anymore.
not gonna
Quit
do
the
this.
fucking Empire.
I would quit.
I picture Vader turn around like, who left food in the microwave? And I was like, oh fuck, come on, somebody else
those
is dying.
microwaves
Dude.
are spotless. Not
Oh, yeah.
any. Like,
The fridge
everyone's
smells
fucking
like
doing-
shit. Like, oh fuck.
They're like, we just won't eat. We don't eat. That's what it is. Down on Dagobah, Luke does a handstand with Yoda on top of him. He attempts to use the Force to lift his X-wing out of the swamp, but fails. Yoda tells him to do it again, and Luke says he'll give it a try. And then
too
Yoda goes,
big.
no, do or do not. There is no try. And Luke's like, well, I guess we'll try again. He's like, what did I just say? What did I
Listen
just
to me.
fucking say? He attempts it one more time, but fails, falling down beside Yoda. He tells the Jedi Master that the ship is just too big. And then Yoda says, size matters not. Look at me. Judge me by my size, do you? As well, you should not. For my ally is the Force, and a powerful ally it is. Then he echoes Obi-Wan's words, which I didn't realize from the first one, but from the New Hope, he says, life creates it, makes it grow. Its energy surrounds us and binds us. Luminous beings we are. You must feel the Force around you everywhere, even between land and the ship. And then just does the impossible. He proves Luke wrong, and he just lifts the X-Wing, like closes his eyes a little bit, reaches out, and then he, with ease, relative ease, lifts the X-Wing out of the swamp and lays it down next to Luke, and then it goes like this. Bing, 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 bing.
Dude, shout outs to the puppetry here. Because, like, when he closes his eyes and goes into that, like, there's so much feeling conveyed and, like, power that we're seeing.
You feel like he is feeling the Force.
Yeah.
It's so good.
But also what's great, and this is a great choice, obviously, it's an obvious choice, but it's a great choice for why Yoda is a good conduit for this. He's this tiny little thing that can prove to you that the Force is bigger than all of us. Or you don't have to be this hulking giant thing to use the Force. This little being is more powerful than anything we've ever seen before.
And shout out to his
fucking
theme song too.
Yeah.
It's so good.
astonished, of course, Luke calls back to the Jedi Master and says, I don't believe it. And then he looks him right in the eye and goes, that is why you fail.
You little punk. Oh.
My favorite moment.
That is
So
the best.
good.
It is the best moment in this whole movie. He's like, I don't believe it. He's like, that's why you fail, because you don't believe it. You don't believe in yourself. Meanwhile, Vader accepts Captain Nita's apology by force choking him to death. So much for that plan.
And then he fucking said, yeah, apology accepted.
Apology
Like,
accepted.
what
I
a
love that
dick.
line. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He tells Admiral Piet to calculate all possible routes based on the Falcon's last known trajectory, and then tells him to not fail him again or he's dead. Outside, we see the Falcon docked on the surface of the Star Destroyer. If the Star Destroyer follows protocol, they'll dump their trash behind as they leave. We can sneak out with the garbage. But where to? Well, the closest nearby planet is Bespin. Luckily, Han knows the guy that runs the place, a little mining colony over there called Cloud City, and his name is Lando Calrissian. And they're like, Calrissian? That sounds dope. And he's like, oh, wait till you see his cape.
So cool.
Right on cue, the Star Destroyer dumps its garbage, and Han and Chewie undock the ship and let it float with the rubbish pile. They watch through the cockpit as the destroyer jumps to hyperspeed, and Leia gives him has to give it to him. She's like, "You do have your moments, not many of them, but you do have them." And she gives him a little kiss on the cheek, and they're safe for the time being. Except they don't notice that the Slave One is following them.
What
Boba
the
Fett.
fuck?
The fucking coolest ship, I think, in all of Star Wars is
Yeah.
Slave One.
Boba Fett.
And the
following
way
them.
it works, when it like lays this way, you get in it, stands up, and it turns the seat. Oh, so cool.
cool.
So cool.
On Dagobah, Luke has another handstand. Is doing another handstand, and Yoda is telling him to concentrate. He lifts everything, including R2, and then Yoda's like, "Good, calm, yes. Through the Force, things you will see other places.
Do the
future."
Kermit voice.
Yeah, that's Piggy, man. Oh, Kermit. That's Piggy. I fucking nailed it.
Later, Nick.
Sorry, let's go long.
You put it to sleep pretty quick.
No, Nick, no.
The future, the past, old friends you will see long gone. And then he realizes Han, and Luke gets a vision of Han and Leia. Everything drops around him. He sees them in the Cloud City. His friends were there in pain. Is this the future he sees? Luke has to go to them. And he's like, and Yoda says, if you leave now, help them you could, but you could also destroy everything that they have fought and suffered for. Out in Cloud City, the Falcon approaches Cloud City and is escorted rather aggressively by 2 security ships. Nothing to worry about. We go way back, Lando and me. They land on platform 9 3/4 and are greeted by Lando, who is not happy to see Han. You got a lot of guts coming back here after what you pulled. Just kidding. How you doing, you old pirate? And it's like, everything's gonna be great. They're old friends.
The beat that they have to wait for like anyone to come out and be like, are they gonna greet us?
Yeah.
Are we
And
good? Or
this is why I love Harrison Ford. Because he has that moment in his
just
face
to
where he's
fake
like,
punch him.
where he legitimately is like, oh fuck, like I fucked up. Oh, everything's gonna be okay.
This time around, I feel like this is the first time, and I guess it's because this might be the first or second time since I've watched this after Solo. In this time around, I feel like they're setting up that they're not really that close. Like they know each other from back in the day, but they're not as close as I think we built them up to be in this original trilogy. Like there is definitely tension there. And when Lando is like, you have the guts to fucking come here. Like you see in Han's eyes where he's like, oh yeah, this was a mistake.
This is a bad idea.
Yeah.
But like Lando does that like fake punch, and then fucking Han reacts to it.
Yeah.
And like to me, that was like, I don't know. I felt like there was a closeness there that they like. These guys
I'm
were
with Barrett a
bros.
little bit. I feel like that was a legit reaction.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
the
They got history,
punch.
but
Yeah.
like, but we don't. But it's a storied history. Let's put it that way. Lando flirts a little bit with Leia, and then offers to repair the hyperdrive on the Falcon as they head into Cloud City. And they start talking. He says, "Look, man, we've had all sorts of problems running this place, labor disputes, etc. It's not great." Meanwhile, C-3PO is like, "Oh, what's over in this little corridor?" And it just gets blown apart by some stormtroopers. We don't know what they are, but we assume they're stormtroopers.
Yeah, I think it's later revealed they're stormtroopers.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting because he's like, what does he say right before he gets shot? So like, oh, you guys are here or something like that. And it's just like, that's a weird reaction to see stormtroopers.
He like kind of like stutters and is like kind of cutting himself off at, in the middle of the sentence. So yeah, it's definitely a weird reaction, especially for a robot.
Back on Dagobah, Luke argues with Yoda and Ghost Obi-Wan, or Ghost Wan, as we'll call him from now on. You don't know if your friends will die. Not even Yoda could know that. You got to stay here and finish your training. You're at a difficult crossroads. It's you and your abilities the Emperor wants. That's why your friends will suffer. You got to finish your training. If you end it now, if you choose the quick and easy path as Vader did, you will become an agent of evil and sacrifice everything your friends have fought for. Luke's like, cool, I get all that. I get it. I hear what you're saying, but
It's like, dude,
I'm gonna
you
go. I'm gonna go to my
promised.
friends.
You promised you'd stay.
yeah, but Luke straight up breaks his promise, gets in, bounces, and as he's leaving, Obi-Wan warns him once again not to give in to his anger, and Luke promises to return and finish his training, and as he takes off, Obi-Wan warns Yoda that Luke is their last hope, and then Yoda goes, no, there is another.
What the fuck?
Fucking cool.
Back on Cloud City, Leia senses something is wrong. No one's seen C-3PO in a while, and how did her hair get like that? We don't even know. Han puts her fears to rest. Lando, dude, he's my buddy. They're going to fix the ship, and then we're going to be gone. And then you're as good as gone, as she says, right? And he's like, why you got to bring that up right now? Okay, I got to pay back this debt before Jabba the Hutt kills me. You know this. We talked about this. I'll be back.
Do you think he called Jabba at any point and be like, hey, I got it? I know
I
I
don't
say
think
that
so
a lot.
because
yeah.
Jabba's like, I'm done with you, bro.
Yeah.
I'm putting you up on the wall.
It's the equivalent of being like, I'll be there in 15, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Chewie finds C-3PO in the junk pile and brings it back to Leia. Lando interrupts and kind of skeezes on Leia a little bit. He asks them to join him for a light refreshment. As they walk, Lando tells them that their operation is small enough not to be noticed by the Empire. Thankfully, he's just made a deal with them that'll keep the Empire off his back forever. BTW, what's on the menu for lunch? Oh, Darth Vader. As the
And
door...
what does Han Solo do?
Fucking pulls his gun, immediately shoots. So cool.
Immediately.
And what does Vader do?
Stops it with his hands.
Fuck yeah, man. That's so tight.
Bro, you got a lightsaber. Like, that's what
Yeah,
it's
but
for.
like that's how powerful he is that he just made it go
Dude,
away.
It's a power
Zero
move.
fuck. I
So
do
cool.
love
I think
that
busting
scene.
out the lightsaber would have shown weakness.
Yeah.
But no, this is
And
just
then
like.
and then he pulls away the gun, right?
Yep.
yeah.
He's like, thanks for joining me for lunch. We got much to discuss. And they're like, oh, do you mean you're going to torture us? He's like, yeah, that's what I mean.
I torture the shit
I'm not
out of you
talking to you
guys.
fuckers. I don't give a shit. Let's see. Vader tells Boba Fett, I'm sorry, excuse me. I skipped ahead a little bit here. Down in the prison cell, Chewie reattaches C-3PO's head to his body, and C-3PO is having flashbacks about the stormtroopers shooting him. Meanwhile, Vader is torturing Han in the next room. Lando listens as his friend screams, and his screams are horrifying in this. Harrison Ford did a great job there. Vader tells Boba Fett that he can have Han after he gets Luke Skywalker. When Lando tells him that wasn't the deal, Vader tells him they can. He's like, "Oh, I can leave a garrison here if you'd like." Shut up. Lando's like, "Fuck, I'll shut up." Back at the prison cell, Leia and Chewie take care of Han. They never even asked him any questions. They just wanted to torture the shit
Such
out
a
of him for
fucked
no
up
reason.
line.
So tight.
Lando comes in and tells the gang that Vader really wants someone called Luke Skywalker. He was like, dude, they're not looking for you guys. They want someone named Luke Skywalker. This whole thing is a trap for him. And then Han punches him out. And then two of Lando's guards in exceedingly tight pants mess up Han. Vader oversees the carbonite freezing facility so they can transport. Okay, we're over in the carbonite freezing facility now.
I feel like this movie really excels again at the character development and stuff, and I feel like it's best shown with Lando, where we are introduced to this character immediately. You don't know
where he's
he's at, and I feel like he flips back and forth like 4 times within 10 minutes, and then you believe the entire thing.
You feel the conflict, right? That's what this movie is great at. It's setting up that conflict. You empathize with Lando. You're like, this guy's running this. He's worked really hard to set up this little like utopia in the sky that's away from the Empire, and now the Empire is there. What do you do?
And I
do you
love that
sell
it's
out your
like-
friends, or do you give up everyone that lives here, that lives free of the Empire? You
live through the like, oh hell yeah, this guy, fuck this guy, oh no, he's good, oh fuck this guy, oh yeah, and I love that. I believe every moment of those twists.
What's the line that Han tells him after he's like, "Look, dude, like I had to do this. I didn't want to do this. I had to do this." And he's like, "Well, aren't you the
hero?"
Yeah, he says something like that. I really enjoy that little back and forth.
Down in the carbonite freezing facility, Vader's overseeing all this stuff. They're prepping the carbonite freezing machine so they can transport Luke in stasis to the Emperor. Why? I have no idea, but it just sounds really, really terrifying and cool. Lando tells him that the process could kill Luke. So Vader's like, "Oh, cool, good point. You know, we should test this first on Captain Solo." And he's like, "No, I gotta shut my mouth."
Then we get Boba being like, "What? No, I
good
need
to
him
me if
alive."
he's dead.
Yeah.
He's no good to me dead. And then Vader's like,
You'll be
if he
compensated.
dies, the Empire will compensate you. And Boba's like, dope.
All right,
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Win-win.
Easy peasy, fresh and squeezy. They bring Han, Leia, and Chewie into the freezing facility, and Chewie goes fucking nuts, starts smashing Stormtrooper, and Han walks over and calms him down by telling me, he's like, "Hey man, you got to take care of the princess. You got to take care of Leia now." And I love this moment too, because Leia walks over and she kind of puts her arm around Chewie as she looks at Han. And like they have this unbelievably real moment, and they don't even say anything. They just kiss. And that's fucking great. And then we get, I would say, arguably the best line in all of Star Wars.
I think the best line that anyone's ever said, period.
She,
in life.
as they bring him
Is
into the
it?
carbonite freezer.
Yeah.
It's my plane is also a damn good line.
Yeah, it's a good
Get
point.
off
Yeah.
my
Get off
plane.
my plane.
Yeah.
Both Harrison Ford.
They bring Han over to the carbonite freezer and they load him into the machine. And as he's being lowered down, Leia looks at him and finally says, "I love you." And Han says, "I know."
Not part of the original script, right?
No. Baller as shit,
Han
though.
Solo, or Harrison Ford, improvised that.
Yeah.
But George Lucas, the fun fact is George Lucas did not like it.
Yeah.
And was like, that doesn't fit. I don't like it. And Harrison Ford was like, "No, trust me." And they did test screenings, and George Lucas was like, "All right, you're right."
It's the most perfect line for that character to say at that point. And it's great.
It's such a douchey line.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's douchey until you start thinking about what it really means. It's like I know you've let me for all this time. That's why I've been stayed here. That's why we're here. I love you too. Like all that's in there.
It could have been more douchey if you pulled like a Ryan and Kelly in in the office. He was like, man, like I didn't know. Like now we're doing a thing. Dang, I thought we were just having fun.
They load Han into the chamber and freeze his ass. And when the carbonite, and then the little giant claw comes in and pulls up the carbonite slab, we see Han's like ghastly, like ghostly last look of pain as he's screaming out and he's frozen there.
A random fun fact that kind of crosses into the next one. The costume designers didn't know what he was going to wear. So if you look at the carbonite, totally not what he's wearing.
Really?
when he's unfrozen. Like he's in Jedi, he's wearing this thing that's more of like a
Little flap over.
Oh, yeah.
a flappy thing. And then this, it's like clearly just like a dress shirt.
Oh, interesting. That's cool. They load Han. Oh, excuse me. They pull him up. Guess what? He's alive and in perfect hibernation. Thank God. Boba's going to get paydayed. Vader orders them to reset the chamber for Skywalker, who has just landed.
One of my favorite things to do as a little kid was to take action figures, put them in a cup of water, freeze them,
Love
and then
it.
all of a sudden he's
So
frozen in
good.
carbonite.
Yep.
So cool.
There it is. See that he finds his way in here, he orders his people. Vader orders Leia and Chewie taken to his ship, and then Lando's like, whoa, that wasn't the deal. And he's like, guess what, Lando, I'm altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further. And this is the final straw for Lando. He's like, fuck these people. They're never going to let up. I've made a terrible mistake here by selling out my friends. It's time to rectify that. Luke skulks around the Cloud City hallways and is attacked by Boba Fett. Lando, meanwhile, signals to his aide that it's time to get the fuck out of the Tijuana gas mining business. Leia spots Luke and warns him. She yells out, "It's a trap!" before being pulled away by some stormtroopers. Luke pursues them and walks right into the carbonite freezing chamber, into the trap. Cut off from everyone, he hears the deep, dark breathing of Darth Vader first. And then the words, "The Force is with you, young Skywalker, but you are not a Jedi yet."
See, this is the coolest line ever for me.
And the set design, the lights,
So
The lighting.
The
colors.
lights.
Yeah.
The smoke.
gas.
Yeah, the haze it.
Man, Luke steps up to the plate, man, and without missing a beat, just draws his lightsaber. And then Vader draws his too, really, really slowly.
Yeah.
Like he's like, it's like your buddy like slowly rolls the window down or like up, and you're like, I can still see you. Okay.
And he like taps it like, come on.
Come on, man.
And one of my favorite details, I don't know if you point this out, is Luke attacks first, which is like the opposite of what he was supposed to be taught in Dagobah and all this stuff.
cool.
It's
Yeah.
so good.
And then Luke starts really working hard to get something going there. You know, it's like a team that you know is going to lose this, but they're working real hard on that pitcher's mound to get something going there, and he just cannot. He can't do it. Vader just like keeps firing back like he's fucking bored. He's like, come on, bro. Did you even train? Did you even train on Dagobah? What's Yoda been up to? Is he eating your snacks again? Out in the corridor, Lando's men ambush the stormtroopers and free Chewie and Leia. In a show of gratitude, Chewie immediately starts choking Lando out. Who needs the Force when you got a giant fucking man dog? Gasping for air, Lando tells them they can still save Han. He's in the east platform. If they move now, we can get him. Out on the east platform, they rush out there. Imperial troopers are loading Han into the cargo hold of Boba Fett's Slave 1. R2-D2 catches up with Chewie and Leia as they run to save him. Sadly, they're too late. They run onto the east platform just in time to watch Slave 1 take off. When they turn around, they're met with a barrage of laser blasts from the squad of stormtroopers. Behind them, back in the freezer, Vader is owning Luke's ass. He tricks Luke into falling backward into the freezing chamber, and then he fires it up, and he's like, all too easy. And as he does that, he doesn't notice that Luke miraculously flips 15 feet into the air.
The one thing he learned on Dagobah
Yeah, how to
is
flip.
I know how to jump. I know how to do a handstand. If I need to do that, I'm good.
And Vader just looks up. He's like, "Wait, what?
Impressive.
How'd you get up there? What did you?"
Most impressive.
do,
And
bro?
like as I'm watching, I'm like, this doesn't look impressive.
Dude, he jumped so far, and it's just this weird effect. But like,
Yeah.
yeah.
They fight more, and Vader is impressed, and Luke has learned to control his fear. Luke gets one over on the old man and knocks his ass off a platform, but when he goes down in pursuit, Vader's nowhere to be seen. And then Luke goes through one of this cool lit hallway that kind of looks like that scene from the Rogue One trailer that we never got in it, where she looks back and it all lights up. I was like, that's cool, man. I love the production design for these movies. As he pops out into the lower level where he once again squares off against Vader. But guess what? Vader has another trick up his sleeve. He's like, well, I noticed that you know how to use your lightsaber, but Let's see how
Take
you
these rocks.
let's see how you fend off these incredibly slow moving wall parts. As like kind of haphazardly, he's like, and then he starts trying to. He's like, He's like kind of batting him off him, and he's like, dude,
He
this
would
is
not be in the opening like startup for your MLB team. You know,
No,
Fucking
no.
awful.
I wish that this scene
Was
looked cooler.
Yeah.
Me too.
Because you know what they're going for.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work.
It
You
doesn't
can tell that they were like,
read.
he's not really good at batting this away. Let's slow it down a little. Maybe we'll speed it up in post, and they just kind of forgot. Either way, one of the pieces of the wall and the environment that Vader is throwing at him bursts one of the windows, and the pressure difference between the inside and outside sucks Luke out onto the scaffolding outside. Meanwhile, upstairs, Leia, Chewie, and Lando make their way to the Falcon. Lando jumps on the loudspeaker and tells everyone that the Empire has taken over Cloud City and everyone should just get the hell out of there. R2-D2 hacks a panel to the landing platform as they jump on the Falcon and take off. Meanwhile, Luke makes his way back inside, but is once again met by Vader. This time, he kind of slowly walks him back out onto this very, very, very long platform that just jettisons out to this very, very, very gigantic, very, very high, deep tube thing. What do we call it? An air vent? What do they call this?
Yeah,
thing?
sure.
Sure, why not? This time Vader's tired and he's not fucking around anymore, and he just schools Luke's ass as he walks him out onto the platform. When Luke tries for one last Hail Mary swing, Vader's like, cut this. Fuck, what the fuck is this kid thinking? And just cuts his hand off, lightsaber still in his hand and all. The lightsaber falls down the air duct, never to be seen again. Or is it? He makes Luke one last offer. He says, join me and I will complete your training. With our combined strength, we can end this destructive conflict and bring order to the galaxy. If you only knew the power of the dark side. Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father, did he? And he's like, he told me you killed him. And he goes, no, I am your father.
Jesus Christ.
Music cue.
And Luke
never gets less cool.
And Luke goes like this, how? And Vader's like, I have no idea. I don't know. Like, I literally didn't know I had a son or a daughter. You know what I mean? It's like, how did this happen? And Vader,
I don't know.
Luke's like, I don't know.
Like, he knew that I mean, future spoilers, but like, he knew that he was potentially
Did he know he had a
having
son
kids.
floating out there?
Well, he didn't know he had a son. He knew he was going to have kids, but he thought that they all died.
But he's just so shocked when he finds out this kid say, oh, he is mine.
Well,
We
yeah,
go
I mean,
into it in the
it's been
comics, and it's
19
really not
years where he
satisfying.
thought the kid was dead.
And then he goes, yeah, he goes, search your
Yeah.
feelings. He goes, it's impossible. Vader tells him,
I don't know if it's good acting, but I always really liked Hamill's performance.
I think it's cool.
I like it
Yeah,
because it's
yeah.
almost like a child
It's just
screaming.
raw.
Yeah,
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 very raw.
it feels like holy. His world is falling apart. I fucking love it.
Vader tells him it's his destiny to destroy the Emperor and join him so they can rule the galaxy as father and son. And Luke's like, they got a lot of destinies out there. Y'all got to get your shit straight. Okay,
Pick one.
Pick one. Yeah. Faced with joining his fate or falling to his death, Luke goes on and he just jumps off and falls about 1,000,000 feet. Thankfully, landing very softly in the air duct. It gets kind of sucked in. That worked out well until a hatch door drops Luke onto a delicate antenna that's hanging off the bottom of Cloud City. When he tries to climb back up, and this is the part that gave me nightmares as a child, the hatch slowly closes on him. Without the use of his right hand, he falls even further, barely hanging on to the tip of the antenna. Last-ditch effort, he calls out through the Force to Leia.
Before this happens, though, like when he falls, don't love the effect. That's another thing that I wish looked better. Right. But what it means and symbolizes, like he was just, without saying anything, ready to just kill himself.
Yeah.
He's like, no, like this is too big of a problem. I know the Force is at play. I'm just going out. And it's like, that is some dark fucking shit.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if you just found out that that you didn't know your dad, but your dad is the world's worst serial killer.
Yeah.
And now wants you to go kill people with him. You're like, shit. And if you don't, he's going to kill you.
Join us or die.
Yeah, join or die.
How did that fall not kill him, you know? He fell
Force.
what
It's-
looked like hundreds of feet into a small pipe, a small metal pipe, and then it turned into a slide.
As we'll
and
learn
then,
in this series, future spoilers, fallen and past spoilers, I guess too. Whatever. Big tubes. If you fall, you're gonna be fine.
yeah.
He's since resented the Force. Like, fucking kept me alive. God damn it. Like,
Also, like, when he slides down the big slide, then he just stops at some it looks like a random place in it where he could have scurried a little further, and then a hatch opens right beneath him.
Trash hatch.
But like,
Just
would
gets in
it
and
have
gets stuck in there.
opened if he had moved 4 feet over, or?
I think so.
Probably. There's hatches everywhere in this fucking world. Everything's made of hatches. Ball bearings.
yeah.
Leia hears him and makes Lando turn back. They spot Luke and pop the hatch to bring him aboard. And I always like this part too because it's a needless detail. They didn't need to do this, but for whatever reason, they have Lando actually, as he's going up, slap on a safety latch which I always just thought was cool.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a cool little detail of like they've had to use this port before, and there's to the point where he's got a little harness on. I just thought that was cool. Vader heads back to the Star Destroyer, kind of bummed that his son didn't want to hang out with him. With the TIE fighters hot on their trail, Chewie and Lando pilot the Falcon into space. Hopefully Lando's people fix the hyperdrive. Nope. Never hire a man to do a Wookiee's job. Chewie heads back to fix the ship as Vader tells Vader tells his people to prepare the tractor beam and bring on the Falcon. Chewie tries to fix the hyperdrive. Vader uses the Force to call as Chewie tries to fix the hyperdrive, Vader looks over and tries to use the Force to call his son, Luke, come with me. It's your destiny. Luke is all beat up in the back, and he starts asking Ben. He goes, Ben, why didn't you tell me? And Ben's like, dude, I wanted to, but Yoda kept telling me to keep you in the dark because that worked out super well for Harry and Dumbledore. Anyway, having interface with the Cloud City computer, R2 takes matters into his own hands and deploys his little selfie stick to fix the hyperdrive. Vader and his commanders watch as the Falcon jumps to hyperspeed. And then,
charm.
What's that?
Third time's the charm.
Worked out well. Later, the Falcon rendezvous with the bigger Rebel fleet, splitting up. Lando and Chewie start preparing the Millennium Falcon to head over to Jabba's palace to find Han. Luke gets a new cool robotic hand. This always freak me out when it's like poking.
Oh, when
it's
it's open, yeah.
Yeah. And then he walks up. They close the panel, and he walks up to join Leia, C-3PO, and R2 to watch as the Falcon takes off once again.
My God.
Chills. I wish we could end this whole thing with an iris wipe.
Oh, that'd be
We
tight.
can. Well-
That'd be tight.
Nah, it's too
Kev will
hard.
figure it
Yeah,
out.
it
for
would
next
just go to
week. Maybe.
black or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
we'd have to have the we can do it maybe for the next one.
But I'll tell you what, like this is an unbelievable last scene because they are standing there and they are not smiling and they are not hopeful and they have just gotten their asses beat and no one's celebrating. No one's like, cool, hey, you, whoa, it's crazy, right?
And
Remember
they have no upper hand. There's not a
There's
whole lot of
nothing.
positives.
Their best friend is frozen in a carbonite
right
slab
hand
and they
either.
got to go get him. Meanwhile, Luke's like, I'm half a Jedi at best. And I thought I was the shit. And I am not the shit.
I
Vader
have
just
one real
owns
hand,
me.
no lightsaber.
Yeah, nothing.
I jumped up high and I can survive long falls. That's about it.
That's
though.
it, man. That's all I've learned about myself. And there's that really sad, somber shot as it's pulling out from the outside of the ship, and you see all of them just standing there, like looking out, not knowing what's coming next.
It's tight, man.
7 syllables in the middle. You'll need 5 for the first and last line. If you're not poetic, no need to fret it. Haikus don't need to rhyme. Haiku in review. Haiku in review. Give it to us, Tim.
You can go to patreon.com/kindoffunny to write your reviews in haiku form, just like James L. did. James L. says, Han and Carbonite, Luke skips training to fight Dad. Plot of the whole movie. Danny Menser writes in, and let me tell you, this is not a haiku, but I really appreciate it. Put me in your tauntaun while Han gets it on. Vader is Luke's mom.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Sure, dude.
You tried. I mean, I like it a lot, though.
M. Fritz says, Luke and Dagobah. I thought Masked Face was a girl. No, idiot. It's Luke. Duh. When I was little,
could
I
see that,
also
yeah.
was like, it took a bit for me to understand that was Luke.
Which way? What?
Because
Luke's
his lips were
face
really
in
red.
Vader's helmet.
Oh, I see.
It
I
was
see.
weird looking.
Yeah.
Because his lips were really red.
Yeah.
Okay.
It looked like he had makeup on. He probably did.
Chad Betteridge says, I'm your father, bitch. Rule the galaxy with me. Please, call me daddy.
I saw.
What if Luke had said yes? You think he's like, you want to like catch a ball game sometime? Maybe get a cup of coffee? He's like, yeah, sure.
I
Dad."
saw Jasek in chat be like, I submitted 3. One of mine better get read.
Jasek? All right,
Yeah.
cool then. Snow speeders are rad. Holy shit. Wedge is alive. Can a movie slap?
I like that only because that's a callback to. There was a Twitter conversation, I believe, between Jasek, me, and Cool Greg, where he was like, "Can a movie slap?" And Cool Greg was like, "Nah, bro, it has to be a song. It has to be." And they're like, "All right, cool."
Okay, Lucas Curran says she wants him to know, as Carbonite waits below. I love you. I know.
That's the
Whoa.
best
Yeah.
one.
Whoa.
But he did rhyme no with no.
I'm fine with that.
Nah, that's
That's
fine.
two different
But-
notes.
No, but
Yeah.
they were two different.
No, it's no.
No.
No, not no.
The fact that there was a verse between them, which is fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it was like back to back, then I would have like.
I mean,
nah.
haikus don't need to rhyme.
Mhm. Everybody knows that. Yeah.
So that's
true.
good.
That was
Now
great.
it's time to rank the Star Wars cinematic universe.
Can
Current
we do
rankings?
Ragu Bago on this or
Oh
no?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dun 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 down.
Ragu.
Dun 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 down.
Ragu.
What's up, everybody? I'm the host of Rad Guys Talk Bad Guys, a podcast within a podcast where we rank the villains of the Star Wars universe. And I'm joined by my panel, everybody. Everybody.
You're far too inclusive.
Seem-
Right
yeah, way
now,
too inclusive.
right now. Well,
Doesn't
you
even
know,
smell
last time,
special.
you know, it was only like me and Kevin, right? Or me and
It was
Nick.
me and
Oh,
you,
yeah,
bro.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
right.
It was her.
Revisionist
So
history.
right now, number one from A New Hope is Tark Vader. Who do we? Where? First off, how do we categorize this? Like it's Vader,
I'm gonna
obviously.
say
I
it's
think it's
Vader,
just Vader in this one.
But it's also all the generals he's choked out.
no,
Because he chokes out a lot of
I
motherfuckers.
feel like this
in
is the only one we are gonna have just Vader, because like really no one else
Yeah,
matters
yeah.
because they all die. This is really
Lando's
Vader's
kind of a bad guy.
How
in
about
this,
Vader
too.
and Vader's
no,
hand?
Lando saves the day at the end
But
again.
he's a bad guy.
No,
at the beginning of it.
Well, he's
not a bad guy.
He's just put in a shitty position.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would put Lando on. I'm with
Yeah.
Vader.
I think that this is
What
the,
about Boba Fett? Because I feel like if
Oh,
we're gonna,
we do get
if
Boba Fett for the
he's-
first time
Boba
in
Fett-
here.
If he's a villain in any movie, it's this one.
No, I definitely
sucks
think
in the next one.
I think he's way more a villain in the next one, where he's actually actively trying to kill people
What
instead
about
of
Vader?
just
What about
working as a
IG-88?
carrier.
He's in this.
He is in this. he
Yeah,
is in
yeah,
this.
you're right.
Also,
Shout out to
What about
the
Han's
Star
attitude?
Trek. You know the alien from Star Trek?
No.
Isn't there like the?
I mean, Data?
I shouldn't have
No, no,
included
no,
everybody.
No.
I should not have included
That's why I
everybody
tell you
in
about
this.
you fucked
Andy,
up.
Who do you
fucked
want to
up.
be, Andy?
Andy,
Just put
I think
Vader.
it's
It should just be
Vader
Vader.
and Vader's choking hand.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
sure.
alright.
Just put Vader's choking hand. And I'm going to put that at,
I think it's number one.
Yeah.
I'll put it at number
He
one. He's
wins.
fucked up in this
Yeah.
movie. And he wins. It's
Yeah.
true. Well,
Yeah.
kind of.
There it is. Rank number one is Vader's
One of-
choking hand. Number two, Tark
To be
Vader.
fair, actually, I think he loses.
Follow us on Ragu Bagu Vids for all latest updates.
Because his goal was to get Luke.
I
was
mean,
to
they run
capture
away,
Luke.
but
We're
like
just
he's
talking over each
defeated
other,
them. You
so.
know, he won this battle.
Who gives a fuck?
But his ultimate
You know what I
goal
mean?
of
The
taking
war
Luke,
hasn't been won. You're right. The
It's like
battle
everyone
was
loses
won.
in this.
Yeah.
Because remember he like watches and he's like, fuck, Luke's still alive.
Now it's
Fuck
time to
that.
rank the Star Wars Cinematic Universe. Do we have rankings for this yet?
No, we always do it on the
It's-
third
it's-
one.
Number
Yeah.
one,
I don't think that's
Star
true.
Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Where do we rank Empire Strikes
I mean,
Back?
Star Wars is the first Star Wars is great and it's a classic, but this movie
Absolutely.
is just leaps and bounds like better.
way better.
I don't know if it's leaps and bounds. I think it's a better movie.
Yeah.
Here's why I like this movie is that we have the MacGuffin in the first one of the Death Star. What is the impending doom of this movie? What is the big overarching like plot device that they have in this movie? There isn't one, right? But
It's just Vader,
super
yeah.
fascinating. It is just about the character conflicts and the character
yeah.
dynamics.
Yeah.
And that's why this is so good. They made one of the best Star Wars movies ever without there being this like impending thing that they gotta this obstacle they gotta go overcome. It's just about the characters and it's so
It's-
good. And it's Han and Leia's relationship and it's all and it's great.
It's the ultimate sequel. It adds so much and stuff. But like I'm with you where, and I was telling you this a couple days ago. Like I'm so impressed watching these movies back to back. Where I always would write off A New Hope, where I'm just like, it's good, it's Star Wars, and it's the first one, whatever. But like, it's not as good as the others.
Right.
It's really
It's
fucking
good.
Yeah.
Now again, the reason Empire is so good is it's because it doesn't have to have those elements because A New Hope had those elements.
Yeah.
So it really does benefit from being the second act of the story from the second movie because we don't need to. We've already seen that big thing that's happening, and spoilers are like, what do we do for the third one? Oh, well, let's bring it back. But
What do they
this
do
movie.
for the seventh one?
That's true.
Yeah.
But so you can't stand as a standalone movie. No, it's not going to work because it needs everything that
Totally.
came beforehand. But it's just so well done. It's so beautifully directed.
I put it
agree.
as number one
Me
for
too.
sure. But I do think A New Hope is a lot closer than I would have ever given it credit for.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll give you that.
And I do think that
Leaps and bounds was not-
I do
that's
think
an
Empire
inaccurate
could have
statement.
really, really messed up had they tried to add a lot of characters and try to add a lot to this, but really they added like I think just enough of the right people to know. They added Lando and Yoda.
Yeah.
Boba
And-
Fett and the bounty
But
hunters. as an
but they
idea.
operate
Yeah.
off of.
But they worked.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They all had enough.
What's cool about it is they added the bounty hunters and didn't tell you who they were, and you don't care. They're just background.
They're a thing.
They're a thing.
They are a
IG-88
device.
is there, and you're like, that's so cool. And when I was a kid, I was like, who the fuck are these? That's
But-
so cool.
but the
And then we
script
never got
writing
explained to it.
is so good because they explained everything they need to. You see these guys, you know they're bounty hunters, and then when Vader walks over and says no disintegration, it's like he says that to Boba.
Yeah, Boba's
it's
like, "Come on, bro."
That immediately you start feeling
Like
whole-
he has like
there's
a
history
char-
between
yeah,
them, and he's
yeah.
fucked. He's burned some motherfuckers.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, he's burned them
That's
alive.
just it's so cool.
Yeah. I love it.
To me, this is the pinnacle Star Wars movie. Like, it's still to this day. It takes what Star Wars originally did and goes away from the big MacGuffin and just focuses on the characters and goes into like lore and very interesting themes that I don't think have been topped at all in any of the movies. And yeah, to me, this is still 39 years later or whatever, still the best Star Wars movie today. And like I would agree with your original sentiment, at least production wise, of leaps and bounds better.
Sure.
Just watching this back to back, it's like, holy shit, they were able to pull off all the stuff that they wanted to do in space. And that's why I feel like this is the least touched of the CGI remakes, because this was the closest he got to his vision even back then.
Having said that, though, like I really feel like with A New Hope, the Vader Obi-Wan scene is like lame, like kind of like looking back compared to what we know happens, and we see the like CG shit that people make, and it's like, oh, that could have been cooler. But like, there's still so much like heart to that scene, and what's important happening of like old men kind of dying and all that shit. It's like you get it. Whereas in Empire, I feel like the Luke Vader fight is a lot cooler when we talk about it than actually watching it.
Oh,
It's like when we're like,
I think
Vader
there's
was
one-
toying with him and
No,
blah, blah, blah. But then when you watch it, it's like he's pulling things off. It's really slow and awkward.
I
And
think
that part
it's-
is.
but
They're
that's-
supposed to be fighting more nimbly than Obi-Wan, who was kind of just like, block, block, block. I'm going to let myself die.
But to be fair, that's only like one small fraction of the Luke Vader fight. But to go back to like this, there's a lot of like interesting philosophies being explored in this movie, and like I was discovering things when we were doing this interview today. So after watching this movie for 24 years of my life, like I'm still interpreting new things and finding new things, and I think that's why, to me, this movie is still stands the like test of time and is still above everything else. It's not just the best Star Wars movie; it's like one of my favorite movies of all time. So.
I mean,
Those are my
that
thoughts.
reveal, dude. That reveal
The reveal's
is so
great.
strong, but also the Yoda reveal. There's so many crazy moments and cool things that happen. Like, I think it is leaps and bounds number one over A New Hope, just in the sense that like it has so much more depth and complexity to it.
Yeah.
And it is also like who would have thought that it's gonna end with like things aren't good.
Yeah.
You know,
Like, such
it's
a
a dark
downer,
ending,
yeah.
and like on its own. It it's not a movie you could watch without watching the previous
Doesn't
one.
need to be, though.
Exactly. It doesn't need to be. It's not what it's trying to be, and I'm super like it's a great movie.
And this is really the one where they try to like, this is now kind of like the staple of how Star Wars stories are told from here on out. Like, yeah, we think back to A New Hope as like the basic storytelling structure, but a lot of elements that they use in this one is now kind of the Star Wars formula in all these movies. Sorry, I interrupted you, Andy. What were you
No, you're
saying?
good. I do agree with Tim going back to it though. Like I think before we started this rewatch, I would have said it was far and away better than A New Hope, but I did enjoy A New Hope a lot more this time around. Like I just with fresher eyes. I never gave it the respect I think it really deserves. But yeah, I still have Empire's number one.
I'm so excited to watch Return.
Me too, man.
So excited.
So the current rankings now, we can vote who thinks is better than
It's number one.
Okay, we all vote. Yeah. Number one, Empire Strikes Back. Number two, A New Hope. Next week we are reviewing Return of the Jedi. I will say my favorite Star Wars movie going into this. So we'll see how it all goes with a more critical eye.
God, I'm so excited.
But anyways, very excited. Until next time.
May the Force be with you.